How you been, Ayle?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just progressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, not everybody loves it.
I love it.
I love it too, but you're right. Not like a lot of people came from Classic were like want that easy thing. But I feel like anybody who progressed through Nex is still fine here, right?
Should be. I don't know. We have a lot of people burning out, seems like.
I would say the same with burnout. It kind of surprises me, but it might just be a symptom of like having played WoW straight so long, less
Yeah.
than just being TBC.
And not having a
But-
break in there
Yeah.
Yeah.
could definitely be a problem.
Especially everyone knows now how like you easily could have joined a guild in phase 3 or 4 of Classic and like not even been behind. And
Right.
it's like at this point I could probably join a guild when Sunwell comes out and still see all the content if I wanted. So if I wasn't having fun right now, like
could
I can
just
still
take a break.
do all the stuff later. Yeah. GDKP's going on and stuff. It's so easy to see the content now.
Yeah.
But then you aren't with your friends.
True.
Yeah. Well,
Very, very true.
Well,
some people have more friends than this. I don't know.
that's weird. Who are those people?
Yeah, that's like my favorite line is like if someone gets a text, just be like, who are you texting? All your friends are right here.
Oh, I have one friend, and she's been my best friend since kindergarten. And literally, like, she'll say something like, I was talking to so and so, and I was like, you talk to other people on the phone?
How dare you?
That's weird. I don't. Awkward.
Oh man. All right, well, we ready to do a show?
I'm ready to do a show. I'm ready to do a podcast.
I'm less ready now because of that.
This is not to insult you, but I kind of get annoyed when Twitch streamers call their like stream a show. Like we're not Twitch streamers. This is like a show, but but like you're streaming for 8 hours and you're like, you come on during my show, and it's like your show. Go weird.
Oh man.
Ale, do you call it the Ale show?
I really hope not.
Definitely not.
I was worried
really
about
hoping
that
he
after I
was. He
finished.
did.
Yeah, I was worried. Hope Ale doesn't call it shows all the time. I mean, it's fine. It's just like I guess I don't know what the word show means
Canadian
anymore.
thing if Ale said yes, though, you know.
I'm a
Like,
boomer.
oh.
I don't understand Twitch anyway.
I don't either, man. I don't understand how people do Twitch because I'm just like, I'll like forget that I'm streaming for like an hour and be like, oh yeah, chat. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I always forget to call things Pog. I'm like, wow, that was cool. And everyone's like,
what's cool?
you mean Pog?
Pogs are something from my childhood, not a saying.
Yeah, right? The little circle pieces.
Little cardboard thingies, yeah.
Yeah, they were so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And don't you ever look back at things that were so popular and be like, what? Like, how did that become
Simpler time.
like the cool thing?
Like,
you know what I
Just
mean?
90s things.
Because kids are
Beanie
stupid.
Babies.
Like, kids will collect and trade like garbage. It's like they don't care at all.
Yeah, I've got like hundreds and hundreds of toys in the boxes in storage. I think are worth money now, but I'd have to like get them out and like price them and do the eBay thing and shipping and everything else. But
It's a lot of work.
yeah, but I've got a ton.
Save those for a rainy day, right? Like when we're really strapped for cash and want to go on a vacation or something. Like, let's go eBay some toys.
That's
Last thing before we begin, it's one of those things I bought. So I bought 1,200 ties once, 2 a.m. They were like 10 cents a piece. Real ties, silk ties, everything. I was like, I could easily sell these and make a bunch of money. I did it. I sorted every tie before I just like wanted to die. I was like, what am I doing? All I'm doing is sorting and eBaying ties. That's not how I want to spend my time. Like I forgot that there's like work involved to make the
yes.
money.
Yep.
Right?
Neckties? That's a crazy
Neckties, yeah. 10 cents. You could sell a necktie for $5. It's
Yeah.
Guys, I got on TSM the other day, and what I don't like about TSM is that it tells me the price per item, but it doesn't tell me the total price per stack, right? So I
yeah.
went and bought these um, I don't remember, some herb for one of my elixirs, which actually I also forgot that I could just get them from the guild bank. So that was unfortunate. But I accidentally clicked on the one that was a stack of 20. And it was like, you bought 20 of this, 142 gold. And I was like, what? It's like, no, take it back. Take it back. I don't want to spend 142 gold. This is more than half my gold.
Oh yeah, well that's even worse than what I did last night. I tried to buy a
Should we talk about this
corium.
and what we did
A
lately?
well, I tried to
True.
buy like a bunch of corium bars, but I ended up buying like the corium tubes. They're like 85 gold. Like, and I bought like 5 of them. I was like, crap. Wait, how am I out of money? I was like, oh man. Yeah. So I'm trying to sell those back now. It's no fun.
They're never gonna sell. They're
One
like
one
something
of the
nobody needs.
yeah, one of the 5 sold. Well, you use them, but they're just like only lazy engineers will buy them because they're just like they can
Just
just
craft
make
them.
them. Yeah, but if they're lazy,
Yeah.
they'll be like, I'll just buy them to like make their goggles and stuff. But everybody's made their goggles, so like now I'm like, eh.
That's hilarious.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Yep.
This is just for me. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazing Bob, and today we're joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Friday.
TGIF. And we're also joined by Ryan, aka Cognitive Pit. How you doing?
I'm definitely not exhausted from staying up all night playing Diablo 2. So ready here,
Definitely
ready
not.
to go.
If it makes you feel any better, I stayed up late playing Arena till the wee hours of the morning. Kim just won't let you go to bed.
It's a
once
trap. You
yeah,
cannot stay in Discord after raid unless you want to stay up all night.
I
It's
know.
always a trap.
Listen, you guys are the biggest weenies. Like, just grow a pair and tell Kim I'm logging off and log off.
Well, no, I
Like,
don't want to log off though.
okay.
That's
the
the
Like,
thing.
you
problem.
ever
Yeah.
see me stuck in Discord? Because I'm never stuck in Discord.
Well,
like,
you start having a good time, and even if you're losing in Arena, like for some reason, it is still fun. Like, I mean,
It's like it's like you're not hungry, but someone offered you a cookie, and you're like,
I don't really like cookies.
Okay, well then you can take that analogy, take the food, make it something you like.
and
I think
we are also joined by special guest Ayle. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Do you like cookies?
Love cookies.
Were
Alright.
you
What?
stuck in Discord, or are you able to effectively move yourself out of a bad situation?
No, I get sucked into and get stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surrounded by all of these people.
Well, it's like in raid, you can't really like hang out. So after
hang
raid,
out,
you're hanging out a
chat.
little bit, and
True.
by a little bit, I mean till 5 in the morning, and then you go to bed.
All right. Well, at the start of the show, I like to remind everybody we always stream on twitch.tv/mashthosebuttons Friday nights. Come check us out. Follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded to know when we go live. We're going to go through housekeeping. We're going to go through what we've been doing this week in WoW. We're going to go through a little bit of raid progression with Vargflocken and probably Eden too, since we have Ayle here. And then we're going to go over the news. And then at the end, we're going to discuss the new fresh season of Mastery, fresh WoW Vanilla Classic servers. So strap in. Let's go. We had some reviews, or a review.
Yeah, we kind of had to. Someone Discord messaged me a comment and
It
review
doesn't
as well
count because
too.
it was Yip. So
He said he loved you guys too. But the first one, hello, Yip, Mel, Bob, love the show. I've officially listened to every episode as of today, and I loved every second of it. It took me a while to do so because I only listen while I'm at work or driving to and from work. The rest of my time is spent making sure I'm still a mediocre hunter that is yet to see DST or the Prince Bow since launch. Love the stories you tell and the work you guys put into making this show a great one. I look forward to listening to the show each week. Keep up the great work and thanks, Boudini Horde on Faralina. Well, thank you.
is it just me, or did you want to say Boudini Hordy? Like, I just feel like that flow.
I
you know?
didn't, but I feel like I should. Boudini Horde, thank you so much for your
Hordy.
for your
Little
comment.
Hordy.
It's
Got
always Always appreciate it.
That's
Sorry
some
about your
rough loot
DST in
luck.
Prinspo.
Yeah, what'd you say, El?
Yeah, that's some rough loot luck. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, we were pretty close. Did Butters in our guild ever get his bow? Is he still rocking out like the huntsman?
No, I don't think Butters did ever get his bow.
Butters.
Yeah, that's rough. He did get a DST though, so it's kind of like a trade-off there. But we've had some pretty rough hunter loot as well too. But Badini, thank you so much for your review. And then Bigger Mike reached out to me on Discord. He said, Ryan, love the podcast. All three of you are awesome. I've been a long time listener. Makes me happy listening to you three and your adventures in WoW. Can't leave comments on Spotify, so messaging you here, which is like kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
That you can't do that, especially because I don't know. I took like I was in like an internet course in school, and like the whole like Web 2.0 big thing was like interaction between the user and website, and then it's like Spotify's like, nah, we're shutting that right
Nah.
back down.
Yeah, it's
You just
interesting.
listen. Your
Well, because
latest
they don't
podcast.
want people like Bob buying reviews and
Yeah,
and their numbers. So
I get
it
it.
makes sense.
Yeah. Your latest podcast with Hamster Wheel was awesome. It was awesome. Hamster Wheel's awesome. But just wanted to say that if it wasn't for bots and gold buying, this game would be dead. Majority of players are older individuals who can't sink 8 hours a day to get a few hundred gold to afford consumables. I've been in 3 guilds. One casual, one semi-hardcore, and one hardcore core guild. And I can promise you, if they ban bots and gold buying permanently, all 3 guilds would have crumbled. Anyways, keep up the great work. Y'all are wonderful hosts for the Horde. Thank
See,
you, Bigger Mike. And I
guess
absolutely agree with you.
I would agree
I do
in
too.
AQ and Nax in Classic. I would agree that would be a thing. But in TBC, especially with like dailies now,
No,
it takes like an hour or two a day to afford consumes for the week. So
it's not about consumes though for TVC. It's about the gear. Imagine Spellfire still being like 3,000 gold to craft. Like imagine the new tier of stuff coming out was thousands of gold to make your belt of blasting or something. Then I think is when people would be like, I can't keep up anymore.
maybe.
Like
I mean,
that's
to be fair, the people that are the most upset about the bots are the people that do farm.
that's
Right?
probably yeah, that's true. I mean, I listen. I think it's okay to feel both ways. I can be upset that there's bots, but also acknowledge that the economy right now functions on bots. I imagine it allows a lot more casual people to see the end game to be able to compete. But I don't know if that necessarily means the game would be dead, but I think it would be much smaller, and there'd be many less people like rating, many less people who are geared in their craftable gear, which then might make them quit. I mean, even with
Right.
bots there, we're still seeing, I think, people burning out from TBC. At least in our guild, we still had people leave in TBC, even when prices are good. But like to me, making my engineering goggles only being like a couple of hundred gold is pretty insane to me. Where Titanic leggings in vanilla, I mean, even Lionheart, when no one had raw gold, cost like 1,200 gold in phase early phase 1 of vanilla. So the fact that you can make a top tier item now for a few hundred gold is thanks to bots, and I think it keeps the casual people more competitive.
I mean, I also have a tailor, and I don't remember the last time I did my tailoring cooldown.
Yeah.
And I know I could, and I could get money, but I got like the Bank of Bob and stuff, so it's not as needed. But it's just like extra effort, right? Like I don't have enough time for that. I herb more than I go do my cooldowns on things.
Yeah.
Because I herb in between, things that I'm doing, or we're waiting for somebody else to log on, and I'm like, okay, I'll go see if I can get any herbs. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Are bots
mean,
the problem?
it'd just be hard to tell because the economy would be so different. It's just hard to tell what would happen. But in its current state, I think I would have to agree that they kind of make the world go round at the moment.
It's hard to separate the economy from bots at this point because the economy is run by bots at this point, at least on White Main.
who knows
So
what it would be, right?
yeah, I
at
mean, if you want to
least
know what
the
it would be,
raw
maybe if you go to a small server, you'd get that experience.
Yeah, at least the raw consumables, the raw materials are run by the bots, but then like the actual items and different things that are crafted are run by people like me and Kim, where we're just like
Yeah.
pricing things. We're like, I mean, for instance, right now I have like over 2,500 gold that's not liquid that I'm just waiting for it to sell, types of things. And like lots of
That's
people
because you bought the
aren't going to
wrong
do
thing and
that.
you're trying to resell
No,
it. You know, I mean,
it's because I won't drop below a certain price, and it will sell. It's just I have to wait. So a lot of people
yeah.
don't have the actual capital to do that. But if you do, I mean, you can have money like really easily.
Well, I think a
And
big difference is that in vanilla, it seemed like in order to raid, you had to buy gold. There are people in our guild who had to buy gold in order to keep raiding next, because they just didn't play enough hours a week to afford the consumes and stuff. So that was sort of that back then. In TBC, I think bots run the economy, but I don't think that they are required. You can so easily, even with bots, go farm everything you need to sustain yourself.
right,
In TBC, bots are just the ones doing all the farming, versus before it was like bots in real money trading was a big problem. Whereas now, I mean, real money trading, so you can go do quests, you can
right.
still go farm. It's very easy to have an alt that you can use to do stealth runs or something for ore, or herbs. So there's
I mean, even
a lot
just
that you can do.
raiding, I feel like I get enough money and gold to sustain me until the next week, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess I'm not like buying a bunch of other stuff, or I don't have to like buy a bunch of things to craft gear or to put enchants on my gear. I already have all of that. So maybe I'll have a different story when I get a lot of new gear and I'm like, oh my God.
yeah. Ayle,
But
are there a lot of bots uh, over where
It's
you are?
definitely much worse on White Main, just I think through the population, but yeah, there's still a bunch just grinding raw gold in dungeons and things
Yeah.
like that. Haven't seen as much in the open world, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a problem on. I mean, it's so easy to get a bot up and running.
I
It
think
doesn't surprise me if there's bots on small servers too.
from what I've heard, PvE servers are just bots everywhere in the open world. But in PvP
Yeah.
servers, from most of the people that I've heard from, it's like it's not really a problem there because they're not trying to mess with like getting killed by the opposite faction. Which Scarum you wouldn't think would be a very big problem, but maybe it's just not worth it for them.
Yeah. I'm pretty worried. Something else Bigger Mike brought up before we move on. Um, he's hoard on Benediction, I believe. And it's like Benediction and Whitemane are just like mirror servers where one's Alliance dominated Benediction and one's Horde dominated Whitemane. He's saying how they're thinking like people are transferring over to Whitemane so they can have a better experience, and we're experiencing Alliance transferring over to Benediction. And like I just see this is gonna keep. I'm really afraid of the next like 6 months of these servers. I think
Same.
it's just gonna get worse and worse.
We're actually looking better than we were last week, which is nice. Uh, we're actually we're a couple percent up, on what's it called? But I am jealous of Firemaw. Firemaw is 50-50, and they have 18,000 people on the server, and I'm just like, man, that used to be us.
I don't understand why Blizzard can't cap factions. I don't get it. It is
Some
so
people can't
easy.
play with their friends.
True. All right, well, hey,
So they go somewhere else.
Yeah, but that's like the moving argument. Just move. Like can't find a good job where you are, just move.
yeah, I've kind of given up on the whole argument. Yeah, I'm tired of talking about it. But what have we been doing this week? Does anybody want to go first?
I'll go first.
Besides raiding.
I playing Diablo 2. It's really fun. Come join me in my pursuits of playing Diablo 2. Other than that, though, Bob, would you like to get?
Well, I guess
I'll
Mel
go.
could
I
go.
actually did something. Yeah, so I can go. Okay, so Monday night I find out I have to go to Oklahoma on Tuesday. Which sounds glorious. I love Oklahoma. And so I drive up to Oklahoma, I work, I get to my hotel, and we raid on Tuesdays. So I brought the gaming laptop, and I'm like making sure everything's ready to go, right? And we don't use the laptop like that often. And so I went to do like updates, and it was like 25 things that are updated. And I'm like, oh God, thank God I did this early. Um, and then we get on, and I'm like, okay, I also tried to get the like upgraded internet because I was like, might as well. And it kept telling me like, if you are not on the hotel property, please connect to the Wi-Fi if you are. And I'm like, I am on the Wi-Fi. How do you think I'm getting this message? Like, what are you doing? And then I finally like got to put in my information. They were like, we do not see that reservation. And I'm like, well, I'm in my freaking room, so I don't know how you don't see that reservation, but whatever. So I couldn't get it. So then I go to raid and everything's fine. Like Jasmine even made a comment. She's like, "Oh, Mel has bad internet, yet Mel's topping the healing charts." And I was like, "Yeah, circular healing's a little unfair, um, especially in those packs that everybody takes raid damage." I'm just like, "Choo choo 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 choo," just like woo. Um, it's very fun. And then, so then we get to what is it, Hydros, and I'm like on there playing. All of a sudden, everything's just like I'm running in place. I can't cast. I'm like, oh God. And I disconnect. I'm like, oh, okay. And so then we do it again and I disconnect. And I'm like, okay, this is not okay. Right. And so I'm like trying to problem solve. Like, what can I do? I'm trying to figure out how I can get my internet upgraded. And like, I went down to like 1 bar on my Wi Fi thing. Right. And I'm like, oh, so I turn off my Wi Fi, I turn it back on, and it goes back up to 4 bars. And I'm like, okay, how did that happen? And then I get on and I realize that on Bob's laptop, all the graphics are set to high.
Ooh.
So on Hydros, when everything came out, all the ads came out and everything, my computer was like, nope, nope.
Well,
It just shut down.
and the weirdest thing about this, and I have experience with this because I used to play World of Warcraft on the night shift back in original Wrath. I used to play it on the night shift on my 3G hotspot because I couldn't get through the firewall at my work, and so I would have to turn graphics down there too, like, and it would make the connection better, which doesn't make any sense to me because the graphics shouldn't be sending you any more packets because the laptop she is using is a robust gaming laptop with like
It's overheating, right?
16
It's got to be
megs of-
overheating, like the Wi-Fi card, like the network card somehow.
Maybe the Wi-Fi, yeah, maybe that's it. Like, but like it just like, I mean, it's got a 165 hertz monitor on it. Even like it's got a 1070 graphics card. It's got 16 megs of RAM. Like it's and you could play it on high graphics here, fine. Like we've done it forever. We've done it in
Right.
different hotels, but for some reason, it wasn't doing it with that connection, and I don't know
Weird.
what the deal could have been. So that was weird.
But I fixed it and then I didn't disconnect at all again.
Yeah,
So,
you're lucky. You had one more disconnect. The finger was on the pulse. We were about to replace you, and then you never disconnected again. We almost thought you were lying about the first disconnects because it's like you're still in the hotel. How are you just not disconnecting now?
right. I
So that
fixed
was
it, guys. Don't worry. I went, got a wrench and, moved some wires around and
Well, you didn't
Just
tell anybody
use
about
a
what you
wrench to
did.
move wires around.
You didn't tell anybody about what you did Monday.
just
I'm
not in WoW. Just-
Wait, what did I do Monday?
Monday was before Tuesday.
I'm very aware of the order of the days of the week. I just don't remember doing anything on Monday.
Well, you're a druid, and it was druid specific.
No, that was on Wednesday.
No, Wednesday was when we farmed what we didn't know we needed to farm. Do you just
Oh.
want me to tell the story?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so no, you're right. So Monday, I did all my quests to get my druid epic fight form, right?
Mhm.
And I did all the quests. Bob was like, I'll help you. And then we realized Bob really couldn't help me. So he was like moral support, right? Because I was just traveling all around. So he'd get on his mage and port me somewhere and all of that stuff. That was great. And I did all these quests. They took forever, really. Okay, not forever, but they were annoyingly long. And then we get to the last part where you have to do heroic something, slay or
Set the calls.
set the calls. Yeah. Well, I'm not revered. in Lower City. And I was like, "What?" So I can't so now I have to get revered in Lower City, and when I looked at my thing, it was like a sliver into honored. We're not talking like you're almost there.
And we've done all the
Nope.
quests in the game too, so like there's no
Yeah.
quest to get anything.
So I was very defeated, and then I had to drive to Oklahoma, so that made it even worse, right? So then on Wednesday, we get on and we're grinding regular Sethic calls, which is so much fun.
We're grinding
And
it with like one person on AFK follow too. It's me and Harry
yeah.
Daughters doing
And Bushy on his
C's and
paladin,
Bushy on his paladin take.
right? And me on my druid. So it was great fun. So we got a few in. I think I'm like halfway through, maybe a little bit more than halfway through honored now.
You need 3K left. You're well past half. You need probably
Really?
2, possibly 3 more runs. Yeah.
That's like two Shadow Labs, right?
So either way, we're moving that direction. I should have it done maybe by the end of next week.
We need 2 or 3 dungeons.
Yeah, listen, I go out
Um,
of town next week.
Ayle,
Don't judge me.
Oh, sure.
what have you done besides raiding? I mean, you and I did a little bit of PvP.
Yes, we did. And man, Storm Herald, that thing slaps.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Oh God.
Me too. My warrior's jealous. But yeah, we did some arena. It was a lot of fun. I've been doing some Diablo, and then also been playing a bit of New World. And of course, last night we did more Kel'Thas progression. Didn't get him down, but hopefully Monday.
Nice.
Right?
So for me, I've had one hell of a week. So last week, I needed that one vortex to get Storm Herald. I was not looking forward to swapping characters multiple times throughout raid come Tuesday, but luckily the vortex dropped right before we got done with trash. At the start of Tuesday, I was able to recall out and then just stay on my lock. And then this is the first time it's happened in Classic, so give me a hallelujah. I got the Biss weapon on Lock Dude. On my main, on Blazing Bob, all through Classic, I didn't get the Biss weapons until the end of every phase, if not like the next phase. And now, at the start of this phase, I have the Biss weapon on Lock Dude. I got 2 Biss weapons in literally an hour's time. Cloud freaking 9. I got, what's it, Fang of the Leviathan? I think it's Fang. But yeah, it was a 62 spell power upgrade from my honor hold rep weapon, and so I've been on cloud 9 from that, and I've been doing a ton of just kind of like honor grinding. I'm about to get my bracers, and I still need the belt, but I don't know how worried I am about that last veterans honor upgrade. Like, I'll get it when I get it.
I don't want to ruin your Cloud9 or anything, but since you didn't get Prince Dagger, really this is just like a holdover, right? Like, it is the best weapon, but you just didn't get any weapon in phase 1. So it's like you kind of earned it. It wasn't just like you got Prince right at the end. You just never got Prince. So you earned it. I'm glad it worked out that way, because in like a DKP world, you absolutely should win that weapon, because like we didn't do DKP and Kara, but if we had, you would have been ahead of everybody else, you know. So it's good that you got that, and
well,
big
it's
upgrade. So
it's crazy how good that feels to have that Biss item that you needed so bad early, because now like the loot's dropping, I ain't fretting at all. I'm like, oh, I'll bid this on that, I'll bid this on that, oh, whatever on that, you know, and I'm just like, oh, I got some, cool, oh, I didn't get it, cool. Because, like, I just don't have to worry about saving to be able to get the weapon. Like, it's so freeing, and I'm just excited. And, yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. Yeah, I'm still playing a lot. I haven't played the D2. I feel like I'll do that later. I don't know.
Wait for the ladder to start. Wait for a ladder reset. That's when we go hard.
Fair.
But I got drawn in by someone talking about specific items. I was fine. I had zero interest in playing Diablo a week ago. And then someone started talking about specific items dropping, and I was like, okay, I should play a little bit. And
Oh
there we go.
God.
Yeah, but yeah, all right. But we have been doing a lot of raiding, so I'll let Yip kind of go in to what we've been doing in raid. And Ayle, if you have anything to throw in, just jump in there, okay?
You
Well,
got it.
Mel has been disconnecting all SSC. Now, so yeah, so this week we figured we would finally have some time to work on an end boss. We went into this week still needing Morgrim down, so we were actually only 7 of 10 going
Mograine?
in. Yeah, Mograine. Murloc Lord Mograine. So I was feeling confident though. I was like, we one-shot like every boss last week. So I have a strong feeling we're gonna have plenty of time on Morgrim. And then maybe we'll get some attempts at Lady Vashj, and then Tuesday or Thursday we'll do Lady Vashj some more and maybe get her down. So that's the plan going in. We go to Hydros and we wipe for like an hour and 20 minutes.
Dude, it
I mean, we
was
probably
so
wipe for an
confusing.
hour. We probably wiped for an hour, but we cleared like extra trash for Bob first. So, but we were like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half in by the time Hydros dropped. And I was like, oh, uh-oh. Like this isn't good. But Hydros was really a pain in the ass. I love
Well,
our
your
DPS.
MVP healer was offline. You know, I mean, obviously.
I wish that was our problem. I wish that the tanks were just dying and we could say that, but that wasn't what was
I
happening.
know.
It kept getting drawn back over the line and summoning more ads by DPS. Looking at logs, it looked like there was a bug where like, and maybe I don't know if Ayle has some kind of secret hunter knowledge, but it crossed the line and it clearly in the logs you can see I was affected by misdirect. The hunter hit him, but instead the threat went to the hunter, and the hunter went back over to the hunter and spawned more ads on one of our attempts. So that was a huge bummer.
I'm proud to
Yeah.
say I didn't pull aggro once, so in any of the attempts. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's super finicky, that fight, and we have problems with it too. And it's basically like when he turns color, I'm sure you know, that's when
Yep.
the threat reset happens. But we actually had problems this week too because it seemed like he was doing it earlier than expected.
He
For
was
us,
doing it a little same here.
it was
It kept
inconsistent.
shocking me when I would pull. I was like, "Whoa, this is like not where it was doing it."
Yeah, and so my guild's like, pull him further. I'm like, I'm running the same speed because I'm
That's
tanking,
exactly
right?
what they said to
My
Yip.
guild told me to pull it further, and I said
Yeah,
I
like, pull it
can't.
further across the line. I'm like, I'm literally running straight, and
Yeah, it turns when it turns. What do you want from
yeah,
me?
exactly.
Dang. Okay. Well, that kind of makes me feel better that the same series of events. But yeah, I mean, the problem is like the run back is annoying. It's not great. We're still getting back into the groove of like getting ready again after a wipe. It's taking us so long
And stop
to get ready to pull
running.
after a wipe.
I don't care if you have Vanish. I don't care if you have Invis. Just die.
Yeah, people like to run away and try to live, and it wastes so much time. So we're still working on those problems, but we were able to go through everything else pretty simply. We got Lurker down. I'm never getting this Mal. I know it's still really early, but it's such a direct upgrade with no competition that it's like, please just give it to me now so we can get this over with. But yeah, Lurker, I don't think there's anything different or new on Lurker. I think we're just killing everything
did
now.
Stuff a little different. Like there was only 2 warlocks on my platform this week, where before it was a shaman and
Yeah, I don't know anything
3
about
warlocks.
that. So
Yeah.
I think it's because we were killing them over there. So you just had 2 warlocks CCing and then you'd kill them after the hunter ones were dead.
Yeah.
We started killing we just killed every platform. Like I know videos are like, oh, you can just cheese it by keeping them CC'd, but you can just kill them. We had plenty of time.
We can kill
I
him
would be sitting
before he
there for
even
like
comes
30
up.
seconds. Yeah, after you kill the Naga ads, there's like 30 seconds left before he comes back up, and it's
Yeah, like,
we
why
got nothing
CC
else to
them?
do.
Yeah, we're just twiddling
Exactly.
thumbs.
So that totally fine. People have gotten over their spout issues, so can't be more happy there. Melee seem to be struggling on fights, not just Lurker, but like melee are ending up dead on a lot of these fights, which I guess we knew going in was going to be a problem, but it's rough because we were bringing 5 healers in. We brought 6 healers this week to help kind of curve it off. So we're already down a DPS. Then we're bringing in a bunch of melee who are dying, and we had no Alye shamans. So it was kind of like a low DPS week, which I think made things quite a bit harder too on all the bosses. But problems, we go over to Leo. Once again, by the skin of our teeth, we barely get him down. I don't know what is going on that fight. Actually, I do know what's going on. By the time he hits like 25%, the DPS just do not care anymore. They don't care anymore. Why? Like, they probably look at the health or the mana of the healers. There's enough mana. I'll eat a couple of whirlwinds. I don't care. And then suddenly there's 6 of us alive when Leo goes down.
Bring
I
on the
was one of
Zerg.
them though.
I don't think I was one of them. Maybe I was. So that's Leo. I don't know. It's tough. I really don't know what goes wrong other than DPS getting hit by whirlwinds. I'm not really sure.
We did lose our
Healers run out of
Warlock
mana.
tank, though, at the very end, too.
Yeah, but I think that's like a symptom more so than a cause, you know? It gets pretty chaotic at the end there. Yeah, we did lose him when he was at like 2% health. We're like, just kill Leah. So we go to Morgan? No, there's someone else. Fathom Lord. We switched the druid and myself on the main boss, and there were no problems whatsoever. We actually had, I think we had a couple of comments, people pointing out that if he hits 75% when ads are still up, he enrages, and that was why Bushy was dying. But we know that mechanic, and that's not why he was dying. We were leaving the boss at like 85% and making sure he wasn't enraging.
Yeah,
He
because
was
that
just
happened
dying.
to us the very first attempt we ever did. We never took it below 75 after that.
Yeah, he was just dying, I think, to like, is it the hunter that has like a bestial wrath? It's like a mini enrage that he can do periodically. I think he might have just been dying to that. Which, as a warrior tank who in phase 1 felt like a worthless loser, I took like no damage. I ran up there. I'm over there like full health the whole time, and shield blocking my way through bosses, no problem whatsoever. So that ended up being fine. Although, did we have a lot of people dead for that for some reason? Still,
Which one?
Fathom Lord. That's the one with a bunch of ads.
That we did. I don't think we
Yeah,
did.
I can't. Okay, I think it actually went fine. Yeah, the week prior we had some issues, but I think we were fine on that. And then it's Morgrim time. Morgrim was the one that we were stuck on. It was pretty rough. Like we didn't have any attempts the first time that were like, we got this next time we come in here. It was
We
definitely
didn't have
like
any deaths on Fathom Mort, it shows.
nice.
Is
Yeah,
that right?
pretty sick. I think it is right. So we head to Morgrim, Murloc Boy, and we tried a couple of different things. The first most important one is that we just had a singular pally tank as opposed to having a couple of tanks help pick up ads. We're still having hunters using super sappers with misdirect. I think that's pretty much the only major differences. We had a lot
We
of
had 6
healers
healers.
healing. Yeah, we had yeah. 6 healers actually was.
I think that was a big
I think
difference.
6
Because
healers was a big difference.
when people were getting entombed or whatever it is that they can't heal, it was taking them away from their tank healing. And the
Yeah, we were
tanks would
having
end
the
up
worst
dying.
RNG too. I don't know if there's like some sort of smart targeting of those watery graves, but every Murloc phase, it seemed like 2 healers are getting graved.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck? We only have 5. We only have 5 healers.
Or it's the pally tank, but Bubble was,
or
was
the pally
solving
tank
that.
gets it. Yeah. Oh my god. But Morgrim, other than that nightmare, once we had 6 healers, we had a good first attempt. We wiped a couple of times with bad attempts, but the time we did it right, everything was like perfect. People
Right.
were alive. It felt like we were under control. And then when we got to the stage where I got to like kite them a little bit, and the watery graves were like coming at us, totally fine. Like it seemed like the good attempt. You could tell it was a good attempt. And the Murlocs were going down fast enough, and everything was really coming together. We handed out grenades to engineers. That's the only other different thing that we did, is that we were giving out bombs and grenades to engineers to help do some more AoE damage on those Murlocs.
I feel like it's so depressing when, like, our first attempt, I think we got him down to, like, what, like, 18% or something crazy, like, it was
Yeah, it was
close, right?
close.
And then we have, like, 3 more attempts that, like, just were awful, right? Like,
Just bad
something
things happen. Like the
happened.
wrong people get watery graved. Like the
Yeah.
warlocks tap too early and then they die to like the AoE, like when the warlocks are coming out, and then like there was just all kinds of stuff that
Oh,
was going wrong.
last big thing, which I think is actually one of the bigger things that I completely forgot about, is before we were making the healers like hold off so they wouldn't pull aggro, which I the whole time thought was a little bit silly, and they weren't topping people off, and they were dying in watery graves because they were not fully topped off going into the graves. So changing that, I think, is what kept everyone alive, which kept DPS high, which made it so that we could like be fine. And then I, I said we only did a couple things different. We did a lot different. The singular pally was also healing a warlock as the murlocs came in order to generate threat as they ran in. So we did all of those things. So we were really trying to do everything we could to make these murlocs faces as easy as possible. And once they were easy, everything was super smooth. And that's all we got to do on that first day.
Ayle, how do you guys fare on that fight?
I mean, it's still a bit of a struggle because you can get some pretty bad RNG, but it's really just a lot of people getting experience on how to deal with that when you have like multiple healers in and people covering. We end up usually having our shaman, like our elemental shaman and enhancement shaman, throw out a couple of heals if we get really bad RNG. We've been able to kill it every week so far. So like basically we get 2 healers in the taken under. We call for the Allies and the the hybrids just to cast a couple heals to top people off, and that seems to have worked really good for us.
Would have
They
been
hate
nice if
doing
we
it.
had an Ellie show up to that night's raid.
Oh, it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's a tough fight. It's I think it's the 3rd hardest in the whole tier. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think the
rough.
same. Yeah.
I feel like we strategically bring Ayle on when we're in progression to give us tips on how to get to the next step.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we
just saying.
have
Right now is the
Melderon
confidence
on
boosting.
next week, so
Right.
there
Pick his brain
is
too.
some strategy to this here.
There's a little bit of confidence boosting, like, hey, we're wiping on Hydros a lot. Are we bad? Oh, other people do too?
How much are
Okay.
you cringing at us right now? Scale of
Yeah,
1 to 10.
No
getting a
way,
scale.
man. It's hard. It's we wiped this week on him. Same thing 2 or 3 times, and it is tough. Like a lot can go wrong in those fights, and we have a mage control as well. So we have a mage on each side,
Oh wow.
and we'll have our paladin basically on the, like we tank him in the south, so he'll consecrate first and then run to the other side, and we'll have a mage nova them in his consecrate. I don't know if you guys have problems with ads getting loose, but we have so many problems with ads just killing healers, the little murlocs. So we'll have a mage nova that first pack in the consecrate, and so they'll just take so much consecrate damage.
Yeah.
And then he runs over, picks up the other side, and then those ones will just like beeline to him.
What
And then he'll have them all on him. Then he'll bring him into melee to
Yeah, we're doing it a
what
bit
we did was
different.
hunters would misdirect super sapper to kind of try and like get the aggro over to him.
Yeah, and he would stay like in the melee, right? He was just waiting for them.
Oh wow, and that works.
Yeah, he would heal the warlock plus the super sappers. You can only really super sapper 1 pack though, I think, because we have 3
Wait, but
hunters.
you're talking about Morgrim, not Hydros, right? He's talking about Hydros, right?
No,
Oh,
I'm talking about
we're talking about
No, we're all talking about Morgrim. Yeah.
I was talking about Hydros, apparently.
Oh.
I don't know when we switched. We were at one point.
I was gonna say you're
Hydros.
nodding a lot at ads going to healers, and I was like, that doesn't happen on Morgrim. That does happen on Hydros though. But yeah, the way but again though, we were having our healers like back off a ton. So like I think the first 2 Morgrim attempts, that was our big problem, is that healers were getting aggro. So what we did, we're like, healers only heal the main tank and the other tank, and the paladin tank. and then that was fine for us and getting threat and aggro right. But then people were dying to Watery Grave, so we kind of found a good in between. We haven't had many like aggro problems. It all comes just down to DPS problems, where
Really?
we're gonna get another Murloc set before the Murlocs are dead. Yeah.
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
locks are you running, Ayle?
I think we have 3.
Oh wow,
Okay.
okay. You're actually
Yeah, we had 4
we're
in
running
order to
4 at
do
the
it.
moment. Yeah.
So how are you not able to kill them all? You just see them.
Sorry, we weren't able to kill them when we had 3, so we brought 4 this week in order to kill Morgrim, and
Well,
we weren't having as many problems, right?
Also, the week prior, basically we had to hold off seeding for a long time, or else they were just coming to us and killing us. Like, so like the super sappers definitely helped, and the pally healing, the tapping warlock definitely helped him get that initial threat, so we could start seeding pretty quickly. Whereas before we were waiting 6-7 seconds like before we could seed, and that's a lot of time like wasted.
Yeah. I think it's hard for me because I can't see anything on most of these boss fights. It's like such a tank excluded fight, I feel like, or like a lot of these fights are. I'm sitting there with Morgrim, and he's just a big body in front of me, and everyone's like, Murlocs, and I'm just sitting there like, all right, just let me know.
don't see
All
a
I
thing.
see is crutch.
Yeah, like I hope it goes well. That's like how I feel. That's how I feel about every boss. And I'll talk about it maybe more when we get to Vashj too. But it's just like I feel like I have no agency. I do my job right, and I just don't think there's just nothing else I can do to make these attempts go better than they already are. Like I'm on Morgrim, and like we'll wipe on stuff, and I'll be like, "What? I can't do
Yeah.
anything. Like,
Basically,
how can I adjust?"
the best thing that you could do is be at the right spot and make it so I could pump immediately and continue pumping, and that's like your job's done at that point.
Like I've hit all my buttons. There's
Yeah,
nothing
as a tank, I'm the exact same. That's just like, what can I do? You know?
You're like, I
Yeah.
did my job.
Yeah, all the
rest of
fights
you,
are.
come
I
on.
mean, I hate to say it,
Which
but
is
like
probably
all
why
the
tanks
fights.
get so angry too.
Well, the fights are still like tank and spanks for us. Like it's not for you guys. Like I felt like vanilla, almost everything was a tank and spank. Um, but now there's like all these mechanics, but like I don't ever have to really do them. I'm just standing around there tanking like a thing like normal, so it's not too bad. But Thursday we'll go back to Vashj because we don't do it on Tuesday. Thursday we go to Tempest Keep, which is yesterday, and we just crush it. Tempest
We
Keep.
did.
We
We killed
crushed
it.
it.
We're not on Kael'thas progression because we want to get Vashj down first, is what we decided. But the first 3 bosses, Alar, Void Reaver, and Solarian, we one-shot everything. We didn't wipe once in TK, nothing on trash. We felt like we had that down pretty good. We had a pretty cool thing on Alar. I don't know. It sounds like people are struggling on Alar. I've seen some guilds struggling on Alar. We had a warlock put an imp between the 2 platforms. I guess platform 1 and 2 if you're coming in and looking on the left. And that's where I am. So I would intervene, then intercept, so that Alar couldn't like run away and get off
Nice.
any blasts, which was cool. I don't think
Smart.
it's needed. I think that if there's 2 blasts, almost any guild should be able to heal that up. But it was cool to just try to like get none out. We're having our priest put the void, little void pet. It's that little shadow fiend.
I was like,
On
Void, what am I supposed to be doing? I did not do that.
So that was fine. It feels like that fight's gonna go horribly in phase 2. Like we'll get hit with the meteor and everyone's at like 20% health and we're scattering and I'm like,
Right.
uh-oh, but it ends up being fine. We just don't lose that many people. I honestly think the fire at people's feet is where people die the most on that fight.
The
It gets
funniest
put
is
on you.
just seeing people standing in it and be like, dude, move. Like
This is the thing.
Get
Well,
the
like,
get
don't
the
you,
add-on GTFO and it will yell at you. Like, just move.
That is true. That is very helpful though, right? Because there are times where like you don't realize you're in something because on your screen it doesn't look like you're in it, right? No, I have this annoying like
Yeah.
going off at me, and I'm like, what am I in? What am I in? Like,
There's absolutely a pack in TK because our raid leader was like, melee, move out of that AoE on the ground. I think that if you're on the lowest settings, there must be some AoE you can't see.
There
Because I was
is.
like, I was like,
There
there's
is.
nothing on the ground. I have everything on the lowest though.
It's the particle I forget what it is. It was a huge problem for us on 3 Drakes up in Wrath, and we had to actually like walk through everybody how to turn that specific graphic setting up so you could always see that you were standing in the goo.
This just gave me a serious like I just remembered something. Is there a visual to the skeleton's immolation on Nightbane? Like a visual, like they're pumping out an aura or like any damage that's on the ground that you can see?
Not that I noticed.
I remember.
Yip's like, I'm just making sure.
I have this memory I played TBC private servers for like a second during TBC so I could see raid content. And I remember on Nightbane having to turn my settings up in order to be able to like see something, but maybe I'm thinking of something different and I just don't remember because that is definitely a thing back in the day. If your settings were too low,
yeah,
you just can't see it.
I specifically remember it when we were working on three Drakes up on Sartharion in Wrath. I think it was Sartharion.
Oh, you know what?
And that was literally where we had to be like, listen, guys, go into because we didn't have Discord or anything. We had to like put like an infographic up on our forum website we had.
Your website.
Yeah, and like that told them how to do it because it literally people would just stand in, and then like right after that an add-on came out that was instantly banned within a week. It was an add-on that literally changed the color of the ground to where you should be standing at different fights and made everything easy mode. I can't remember the name of the ad, but it was banned within like a week. Okay,
That's
we're
pretty
going
dope.
down. This is like nostalgia lane here.
Yeah, was it Ultimate Online that happened on?
Star Wars Galaxies, where I was one of the first Jedi.
So Alar goes down. Alar, oh my, we sat 2 melee. I feel like that's important. We sat 2 melee for TK.
Like that's important
because it made everything just better. Like melee in there have the worst time in Tempest Keep. I feel kind of bad for them. Like, I don't know. So we did have to sit too, but Void Reaver, I mean, I know there's like threat mechanics. Everyone just seems to ignore them entirely, and it really is like almost not even a problem for us.
Okay, listen, I have to talk about Void Reaver because the last episode I talked about Void Reaver, and if you remember,
Ayle, Mel died 5 times.
5 times.
Died 5 times
in that fight.
Yeah,
in a single fight.
If you look at the logs, it's like Mel dies, Mel res, heal, one shot, res, heal, one shot.
How does that happen?
Listen,
Because I don't have very much health. I'm a priest. I don't have very much health.
It's because Mel's coming in. Yeah, Mel has like 7k health. Okay.
She's also the only priest.
She gets battle res. She gets battle res and starts AoE healing instead of healing herself. You know, you got a list of things here.
She's also the only holy priest, so like having her up makes sense to battle res, you know. So like,
and I had my Spirit of Redemption every time I died, so
yeah, it was kind of cool. I think it actually
healing,
made the fight easier. Yeah,
but you
so
should
had a
have
full
seen me
minute
like,
of Spirit of Redemption through that fight.
Every time Harskar was like, so and so battle res Mel, and I was like, again, are you sure? Are you okay? But I did not. No, Bob, don't take this away from me. I did not die at all this time.
Ayle, how are you doing, Void Reaver? Because our threat issues, there's just nothing else.
Before he does that, let me say what I wanted to say. Like me and FJ know that we don't want to go down the road of swapping chamois into groups for multiple lusts. We don't want to do that. We don't want to take DPS from other groups. But on fights where 3 tanks could really get stuff and we could pump because of it, like I'm all for just rotating the chamois in, letting you guys get bloodlust after bloodlust, or heroism after heroism, and then we can just pump and not have to worry about it. Because like me and FJ are like having to go AFK for that fight.
I think you just pump. He doesn't drop that much. He just doesn't drop aggro that much. So I think you should just pump. I think that people should ignore aggro except for the top threat and just pump because he'll kill like one person. Like he doesn't do
See, I
do
guess
a
he
full
always
threat
kills
drop.
me.
Yeah, he doesn't do a full threat drop. He only pushes you back a little bit. So
And of course, you being the tank, that's a sacrifice you're willing to make, right?
exactly,
Right?
you're getting it.
It's
Well,
like,
people are
he
dying
kills one
anyway.
person.
Yeah. But Ayle, I want to hear how it goes for you and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so basically, I tank in full DPS gear, my full like arena set, and I like pop recklessness off the start. He doesn't hit that hard actually,
Yeah.
so I just go ham. I try to hold him for like 2 threat knockdowns, and then our feral druid is in second, and we just misdirect onto me after that. Basically, I lose it every time, and then usually I stay high enough in second that it's fine. And our feral has such crazy threat.
Yes.
They wear full like threat gear, like full feral DPS, whatever they have, and it's fine. We usually end up losing some people towards the end, but you know, not many, like maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I think that makes more sense. We're trying to have our paladin in that rotation too, and like letting him get aggro at first and having 3 tanks, making it really hard for me. I would love to start and
Yeah.
gain threat, but instead the bear is always tanking. Like the bear immediately takes over the paladin, and I'm just sitting there like an idiot, desperately like I'm usually
Trying
like
to get
4th.
rage.
I'm like
Yeah.
4th or 5th, and like I know people are holding back, and I'm like, oh, I'm popping rage pots. But all right, next week we're wrecking. We're going full DPS. We'll give that a shot and see how it goes. And I honestly do think, but like the bear alone could tank for like most of the fight because it just doesn't happen that often. So I
Yeah.
do think that 2 tanks is plenty to be able to let people pump too. It'd just be easier for us instead of trying to like keep the paladin up first. And yeah. Okay.
Yep. That's that's basically how we're doing it. So
Makes sense.
it seemed to have been fine so far.
Yeah, I mean, even still, like we're not in threat of like wiping. It's just always like that's a couple more deaths than than I would like to see. But yeah, getting faster fights is of course better too. And then finally, we go to Solarian, and I get to do my favorite job of the week. I put on my strap on my arcane resist gear, and I go stand hanging out with our paladin tank also in his arcane resist gear, and we just hang out. We're having a good time. That's pretty much it. It's very easy. I don't know if Bob or Mel have more to say on this fight. I do nothing.
So I kind of just made a personal decision to not equip my
Most people did, I
resistance trinket.
believe. Yeah. I don't think you need to.
I don't think you do either. I think it might help at the very start of the fight, but yeah, I just didn't do it.
Just DPS.
And just DPS'd, and it just went fine.
Yeah. Yeah, just DPS. Mel, how was the healing? Was it still pretty insane, or was it better?
I don't even remember, so it must not have been that bad.
Yeah, we had 6 healers, so it really changes everything.
Yeah.
Like we were accidentally double pulling sometimes. Like we would accidentally pull an extra pack like halfway through a pack, and we still weren't wiping. Which is like before we like last week we were wiping when we pulled 1 pack sometimes.
Right.
Like
Wow.
so like the difference was just so huge.
Well, I think we
and-
all kind of know the fights too, and kind of what the mechanics are,
Well,
and
yeah,
a little bit of that. But I do think that the 6th healer helped. I think that for that boss particularly, there's a decent amount of AoE damage. So it helped that I didn't pull aggro on my circle of healing.
I will
don't think you have any worries on
say,
that fight.
TK went swimmingly well. We didn't wipe on anything, but personally, I died a lot. I'm pretty sure I won most deaths in TK this week. I think I had like 12 or 13 or something like that.
Wow.
Yep. No, you had
That's very
6.
impressive.
No, I had more than 6. Or maybe Kim gave the counter after we went and did Vashj
That
progression
too.
progression after
Probably.
that. Okay, so it
Yeah,
had those
you had
attempts in there.
6. Guess how many I
Not
had?
horrible. None.
0.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
but
death.
6, was I number 1 or was I number 2?
Yeah, you were number 1, tied with Kim.
Yeah, so we had some deaths, but TK really wasn't too bad. Maybe we'll change our minds. We're on Kael'thas, but we head out after Solarian to go to Vashj because we have. Let's see, we finished in just over an hour and a half, the first 3 bosses, which I was stoked about. I was very, very happy with that for a second week in there. So we head over to Vashj, and I got 2 Nether Vortexes, so I'm on my way to Storm Herald, first of all. Very important piece. So we're 2 of 5. We're on our way. But then we had to Lady Vashj, and this was the fight that really made me realize that like there's nothing I can do to help my friends. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, my job's not hard, but the fight is. So it's really weird and like hard to deal with.
Dude, and like we're having so phase 1's easy. Phase 2 though is really a lot. And like we didn't realize at the start that the corrupted guys that have the ball you have to dunk, 4 times.
Yeah.
Those guys despawn after 15 seconds. So even if you
I
kill
knew
them,
that
they
though.
despawn.
I didn't know people didn't know
See,
that. That
lots
was, like,
of us
that's, like,
had
the
no
thing.
clue. Like they're like, it despawned. And so like we didn't realize that, but then also on top of that, like every guide says have an elemental chamois tank the what's those big walker dudes?
The Fenstrider.
Yeah, and we didn't do that, and like I looked at all. To be fair, I looked at all the guides today instead of like prior to raid, but but
It's helpful.
So, but like we didn't do that, so we had an Affylock trying to.
No, first of all, we
tank
did
him?
do that,
Oh,
but
we
you
did
locks
it?
were pulling from him, so we
Oh.
stopped after 1 attempt. It didn't work the first time we did it, so we were like, you can have a lot of guys say shaman or warlock. So shaman is the best, but I think warlock, with their whatever curse they put on, whatever affliction was working out good.
Well, it like really though, like I just felt at the end of like all of our attempts, I'm like, listen guys, like I took aggro and I just kited. Like we just want the warlocks to pump as much damage as possible. And if you get aggro, if you're a mage or a warlock, just kite it. Like
Well,
that's
I
all you
also
gotta
feel
do.
like we were having people net, but there wasn't a clear like direction of how or when to net, right? And
Yeah,
That's what
I-
kiting's like, though. Unfortunately, like
right, but I'm not even saying like I'm just saying. So what happened was we had like 6 people with nets, and 2 people would throw it at once, and then it would be like net, 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 and then everybody's like, I don't have any nets.
Well, and
then
then
it's like
also
you're on your own.
if they would net and the Fenstrider was close to anybody in melee range, they would just one shot them because it's the same thing as like Frost Nova, where they just turn to whatever's close to them immediately and just hit them, and so that
Which
was
I did
happening.
not know because I'm never close to that Fenstrider, right?
well,
I mean,
everyone
it happens
should learn
on
that.
and
That's
yeah,
happened with
happens on
Nova
anything.
being the most egregious. Is if someone, even if they have threat, if they're Nova'd and you get near them, they'll whack you and kill you. It's really annoying.
As soon as a mob's rooted, he's going to try to hit anything that is in range of him, and that like kills so many poor melee and 5-man dungeons too.
Don't be melee, forehead.
Yeah, that's really the true answer. So with Lady Vashj, the first part is just a tank and spank. There's really nothing to worry about. Maybe I think you have to have a grounding totem down for the tank, but very, very easy. Second phase is insane. You got ads spawning. You've got to kill these like tainted ads and throw a core between each other to shut off cores. There's a lot going on, and we obviously just need time to see it. And every attempt was like better and better. So it's just one of those fights that seems like we all just need to like. The thing is, like, everyone, like you were saying, you didn't have a lot of direction, but I feel like that is how Lady Vashj works, is everyone needs to know how the fight works and have personal agency in order to get the fight done. To say, we need a net now, I need to throw this to somebody, I need to dunk in the tainted core. All these things like are too hard to call out the whole time. It seemed like, at least the way that we were doing it, but we were pretty close. And I received some information last night. And I don't know how Ayle does it. Maybe he can tell us how his phase 3s go. But I heard that.
Can I talk about the phase 2 real fast first though?
Yeah.
So We also all had this macro that we shared that would
Oh my
whisper
god.
your target that you toss them the thing. And I kept getting whispered, and I was like, "I don't have a thing." And they were like, "Mel, so that pole that you were standing right next to, you just click on that." I was like, I
Yeah.
understand the concept of this ability. I just literally don't have the thing. They're like, "Well, can you move?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm just saying I was in the middle of a fight and I get a whisper that I have this
Yeah,
thing.
the problem
I
was
go and try
yeah.
to click." Like,
The problem is you all you said was, "I think I have a core," and you were standing next to one, and everyone's like, "Oh, what the hell?" And then, like, people were yelling at you to throw it, and you're like, "It's not doing anything," and it's because, like, the macro auto whispers no matter what, and
yes,
someone hit it
whoever
on
you're
you.
targeted on,
Yes, so someone
right?
hit it on you who I think didn't even have a core, and it's just,
Yeah.
like, these sort of things.
Well, and then Mel hit it on Stoof, who
Yeah,
because she didn't have a core, and so then Stoof thought she had a core, and then
yeah. Cores are our problem. We're missing cores, and we'll never finish the boss if we miss cores. Um,
You only
but
have 15 seconds to kill them though before
that's
they
fine.
despawn,
That's not the
is what I heard.
problem, though. We saw bodies that were despawning with no one looting. Apparently, like we're really doing
Oh.
a poor job on the course. Like, I can't do
yeah,
anything because I'm tanking a Naga in the center.
I
Can't even
think
see anything.
I think on our last wipe we had we had dunked 2 and 7 had spawned.
Yeah, that's our problem. We dunk the first 2, and we just don't dunk anymore. Well, there'll be like 7 out before we wipe. Like, I really feel like if we do the first 4 cores, then we get it down. Like,
Yep,
that's just like I think that we can do it.
it's just a
Um,
bizarre mechanic.
it's very, very bizarre. It's cool. It's very
I like
cool.
it.
I'm not gonna enjoy it on farm, I think.
Yeah.
But so phase 3 though, apparently. So I know that people are putting out like hunter traps and stuff in order to soak. Like they can be targets of Lady Vash's like thing she puts on the ground. Who knows? I haven't been on phase 3. Apparently, you can use the thornlings from Dire Mall. You know what I'm talking about, Bob? Those little thornlings that you can
Oh
place.
wow, really?
They're in the little like things you can loot
Yeah.
in Dire Mall. And if you did DM East runs, you might have some of these. It spawns a little thornling that pulls aggro and like pumps out damage. Maybe I forget what it does, but it just sits there. It's poison immune. So you can have the whole raid put
Oh wow.
down 25 of these. They'll all be targets and they're invincible. Apparently, it just cheeses the
Wow.
entire last phase of the fight. Yeah,
I
that's what Perky's told me that last night.
huh.
They do that. And yeah, it
That's
was
cheating.
apparently it is kind of cheating. It wouldn't surprise me if that got nerfed. I can understand snake traps and things like that, but you can just place all those thornlings. The problem is they're BOP. You got to go farm them in Dire Maw yourself. But I'd love to hear how Ayle's doing this, especially because we haven't gotten past phase 2.
Yeah, we're just not. We're doing Kale first because we heard that one is easier and less RNG. So
Well,
Ah,
there you go. Yeah,
shit.
we heard the same
What are you
thing.
here for, Ayle? You're supposed to give us all this
I
advice about how to.
know.
No, I'm glad. I'm very glad because I heard. It makes me feel more in line with people because it is hard.
It is
it's a
hard.
it's a hard fight. We have heard that Kale's easier. It has more kills than Lady Vashj has. Before our guild just feels like Kale's gonna be harder because like at the end of unironically at the end of Void Reaver, somebody asked us, "Oh, does this boss have a threat drop mechanic?" So it's like it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, Lady Vashj might just be the key. And that like we do. And plus like the timing I think works out better, but that's what we went for. And hopefully we get it down next week. If we don't, I might start feeling some regret that we maybe made the wrong choice. But I think we're close. It's just getting that phase. If you get apparently with the Thornlings, if you get a smooth transition to phase 3, it's like done. Like, that's all
Yeah,
you
but
need to
what
do.
do you think is the reality of getting all of our 25 raiders to go to Dire Mall and get a Thornling?
Um Low, but I could easily see 15 to 20 people having Thornlings, which would
Agreed.
be a
Yeah.
huge
I
benefit
guess
over
that's
just
better.
not
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it.
It's
Yeah.
not like everybody has it or you don't use it, I guess.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
just put down as many as you have, and it should make the fight easier. Again, I
Bob, will you
haven't
put me
done
on
this.
follow and take me to Dire Mall to get a Thorn Lane next week?
That's against terms of service, so no, I cannot do that.
Well, we haven't seen Kael'thas at all, so let's hear how
Exactly
Kael'thas
what I was
progression
going to
is
ask.
going. Yeah.
Yep, what I was going to ask next.
I mean, it's also a pretty rough fight. We've been progressing by just like learning each of the phases, but right now our phase 4 is really rough.
Which phase
er,
is phase 4?
it's so like the first one you fight them all individually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is the weapons, and then 3 you fight all of them at the same time. So we're able to get through that now, but when we get to phase 4, it just gets extremely chaotic with the phoenixes and um being able to break his shield. We actually are struggling. Like we feel like we might not have the DPS for it, or
Yeah.
it's very close, right? So obviously getting more gear from week to week is going to help with that, but pretty much all hell breaks loose right there. And the mind controlling as well is like a huge issue. The fact that both these end bosses have an MC is just insane, because like that always seems to mess people up, because we have very like strict healing assignments and things like that, and if someone gets MC'd, then tank dies or something happens, and it seems like we need to kind of figure out a way. But the problem we've had with it actually is that like it takes so long to get to that phase that
Yeah.
it's really tough to like just practice that specific thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably like tired almost by the time that phase rolls around, even doing the boss so long at that point.
I've got
Yeah.
a question for you. So I haven't looked into KT much yet because we're like not planning on doing that. But does his mind control also do what Lady Vashj does? Like where it like buffs the person to where they're a literal god?
No, it's normal.
Okay,
As far
so
as I
you
know.
could still just kill him though, because like basically the Lady Vashj mind control, like you're not killing that mind controlled person no matter what you try.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just curious if Kathos. I don't like calling him KT.
Yeah,
too
it's
many
weird.
too many KTs.
Too many KTs. I agree.
What did you just do, Mel?
I messed
You're in
it
a
all
way
up. I'm
different
so
position
sorry.
now.
Yeah, change your name back. Whatever you did.
I tried, but it like now it's telling me I can't do it again.
Oh my gosh, Mel, you're killing me right now. I can't switch mine because I have the green screen.
I know. I'm sorry. Now I'm really weird looking.
Harscare says you poke them with a Lego sword and it breaks the MC.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's what we do. The hunters, make sure your hunters have dagger skill, because they have to break the MCs with the daggers, and if they
Yeah.
don't, then they can't.
Oh, that's
interesting.
actually a good point. You hear that? Hunters get dagger skill.
Kind of funny.
Time to head back to Blasted Lands to work up that dagger skill.
Is that the best place to do it now? I
It's
just
still-
do it. I
yeah,
actually
it
just
still
farm.
is.
Funny enough, I usually just farm now because most of my stuff's like 300. I'll just like go farm primals and get my skill up or something.
As
Just kind of
a
like knock the birds out.
yeah, as a warrior, that's what I've been doing. But I'm thinking
Yeah.
like on other classes.
yeah, for
like
other
you
classes,
probably
yeah.
just want to take a healing friend, just AFK there while you like watch a show. That's how I worked up all of mine in vanilla. I mean, I had 300 of every skill because
Whoa.
I just AFK'd.
300. Yeah. That's definitely an easy way to do it. Did you have Mel there healing for you while you AFK'd? You're like on the couch watching something and Mel's sitting there healing your warrior.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah, so don't act like Bob always carries me, right?
If it wasn't against the terms of service, I probably would have just done it myself with her. But of course I didn't, because that's against terms of service.
I've certainly never implied Bob carried anybody, so that's not that's not fine. Yeah, but that is how we've been doing. I know Bob had some stats maybe.
Yeah.
I
I just thought it would be interesting for listeners to hear what's going on currently and what guilds are doing. So basically 7,014 guilds are 7 of 10 or lower. Then 4,613 guilds are 8 of 10, like us. And then 1,769 guilds have went 9 of 10. And that could be either Thos, or Lady V. But then 2,301 guilds have went 10 of 10. So basically, like, what's that? What's that, 13? So basically, like, what's that percentage? I should have probably written that down. But
Well,
like
I have
basically
a
15%
lockup
of
with
guilds maybe have cleared everything.
I have a
12.
current percentage over the last 2 weeks right now. Um, it looks like 9.2% of guilds have killed Kael'thas, and 5.5% of guilds that raided in the last 2 weeks have killed Lady Vashj.
Oh wow.
So still very low numbers. Morgrim is third there with 17%, and then Alar with 27.6. So only just over a quarter of guilds have killed Alar.
Which is
A couple
crazy,
weeks in.
because it with these stats, what that tells me is it must be that people are actually able to skip LR and
You
still
can,
kill other
yeah.
bosses.
I think you can just go to Void Reaver if you want, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that's what people are doing. Funny enough, it looks like Leo has the highest kill percentage at 65.4% over the last 2 weeks of guilds that attempted him.
Yeah,
So
somehow they scrape it by just like we do, right?
Well, it's
that
just
actually, yeah,
they
that
like
worries me.
yeah, with that percent, what that tells me is they just skip Hydros, which we know we can do because we've done trash farms, and they just go right on past straight to Leo. I wonder if it's because guilds are like, well, the more Fang of the Leviathans we get in, the better. But
It's almost like the same thing we do. I mean, like, we'll go to TK instead of progressing on Vashj, because it's like we should be killing the bosses we can kill. We were just confident at our guild skill level that we'd be able to kill Hydros. We'd be able to kill, these other bosses. So that's kind of why we never skipped. Because it's like, I refuse to believe our guild can't kill like Alar. So we'll wipe until we kill Alar. That's like the
which we did pretty quick, but it was interesting to me to see that so many guilds had not killed Alar. And
yeah.
another thing that's like Ayle, you were talking about your progression, and your guild is a lot like ours, where you're really not capitalizing on bringing as much ranged as possible. Like, it seems like you guys are pretty much as melee heavy as we are. Am I right in that assumption?
You're wrong.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
I mean,
we
you said you
have,
had 3 locks, which is pretty low for like most high-end guilds.
well, I wouldn't say we're high end, but we have one lock group. We have another caster group, which is like mages and shadow priest, and we have our tank in there, and then we have a hunter group as well, and then healer group, and then one melee group.
I mean, that's what we're running, and I feel that's melee
Okay.
heavy.
Oh, really? Okay, well,
Yeah,
I thought that was just.
I mean,
I thought it was
it's
just fine.
yeah. I mean, bringing less melee. We are actually a little more melee heavy because we end up sometimes with melee outside the melee group. I think that's the biggest problem we have is
Yeah.
we end up sometimes with like 7 melee. So this time we did have a melee group. We went one lower though during this week, so we only had really 4 melee, and then I got to be in the melee group with the Wind Fury and all that. So that was pretty slick.
Pretty sweet.
First time for a whole night, but but yeah, I mean 3. We have for warlocks we have 3 and then affliction warlock. For hunters we run 3, which I would say is 3 to 4. I think is normal for guilds. So we're about the same. But yeah, melee. I don't know how your melee do. Our melee seem to struggle on a lot of these fights. They end up dead like super early a lot of the times. Yeah, I just don't know. It's hard for me to tell what it is, what's going on exactly.
Yeah, stuff sneezes, they die.
Yeah, that's basically.
Ask Meldron how often he spends dead. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We'll be sure. See you next week.
All right, guys. Well, let's move on to the news. Okay, so
By the way, Bob,
what's up?
I don't think I can change my name back for like an hour. I'm sorry.
All right, well, here then, before we start in on the news, just turn your camera back on, and I'll just swap the stuff around.
It's all ruined. This whole.
God.
Let's throw it out. Start over. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded.
Oh, I don't even
You
know how
guys,
I fix
I look
this.
so weird. I can
Yeah.
just keep my camera off.
What were you doing?
I was
How'd you
trying to
name
make it so
yourself
it didn't
that?
switch.
Yeah, she just switched
with
over to
Ayle.
she like switched over to my side because she like changed her name to be A, and so that's where the actual chroma key is.
Move.
Here, we'll just
Oh, that's so funny.
I'll just turn my camera off. We're fine.
you're
just-
killing me, Smalls.
Just hear me and we'll figure it out.
All right, so here's where we're getting back. So there was some changes to the minimum GCD. So minimum GCD raised to 1 second. It basically like nerfed the mind quickening gem. I don't really understand this, but when I looked into it, like it said that like it really didn't change anything for PvP mages, but did kind of change things for PvE mages that have a shaman. Or does anybody
Yeah, it's
know
like-
or make sense of this?
So haste lowers the GCD, right? They're just saying mages were
Only
using mind
for
quickening gems
casters, though.
for haste for spell casters.
Yep.
Lowers their GCD. So what was happening is people were mind quickening and getting bloodlust as I think arcane mages. I would assume arcane mages are the reason they felt like they needed to
It
change
is.
something.
Yeah,
And they
from
were
what I've
pumping out
heard.
like 15k DPS. And like I don't know like specifically why 1 second like is the number that it needs to be. Like I don't know what these breakpoints are or anything like that. But that is why they're changing it. It's just they're making sure the GCD stays at a second because apparently I guess it was just too good.
Well, let me tell you, I'm going to step in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm an expert on this. So I actually have a mage with MQG as well. And this is actually a PvP change primarily.
Okay.
And the reason for this was people could Frost Nova, and with Icy Veins and Bloodlust, they could hit you with like 7 Ice Lances in 1 Nova because the GCD is under a second. Right? So it's extremely OP. Trust me, you come against a mage who has this, and they get a little bit of luck where the Nova doesn't break right away, and they'll kill you in 1 Nova. And that's, I mean, I was doing this. So if you watch Vinruki at all, he's been lamenting because he's been trying to get Mind Quickening Gem for an entire year. He actually has his guild go back and do BWL right now just to get it because he's like a gladiator mage and he doesn't have this, and it's so strong. So it ended up getting nerfed to 1 second. It's the GCD when they put in the haste changes in original TBC. That was the cap, was 1 second. Nothing could go below that if you stacked everything. So the fact that this could was a bug, and so basically just fixed that, and it's still extremely strong to get your GCD down to a second. But before being able to go like a half second ice every second, half second to 3/4 of a second, you could ice lance somebody. It was nutty. There's been times, like you said, where I've literally 100 to 0 somebody with a Nova and Mind Cooking Gem Bloodlust Ice Lances.
That is crazy. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe that's what's been going on in all my arenas. That's why I can't get out of 1500. All these darn cheating mages. I knew it.
That's it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's
crazy.
cool. Because I actually watched. I actually got to catch Prepared live just before the podcast, and they didn't know that either. They were going by somebody else's account of it. I forget his name.
Well, I'm glad we got the scoop.
Yeah,
that sounds
super
pretty
cool.
nuts. But yeah, I mean, 1 second still seems good.
Oh yeah, it's
So,
it's still very strong. If you have a shaman and you're a frost mage with MQG, you're definitely going to hit that no problem. So it's
Any
still very
thoughts?
very strong. But
do you think people? Is there any like backlash to this? Are people upset at this change? Or I mean, it sounds like it's unequivocally a bug that's being
I
fixed.
mean, the people in power who have this are gonna maybe complain a bit, but it was seriously overpowered. I don't think it's
Yeah.
like I had it and like I would laugh with glee every time I could do it, but it just doesn't feel fair. And
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where you're like,
the haves versus the have-nots. The fact that it's like a classic item, like having this much power, I think it's totally fine. And anybody who's complaining about it is just like it's like a rich person complaining that they're not making enough money or something. It's just like
Yeah.
It was kind of like me in our original TBC with a really good PC and broadband connection, and so many people had dial-up, and I'm just in arena like I am a golden god.
Well, cool. That's definitely a good thing that got fixed. I can now beat Rogue. I guess there has to be a shaman, so I guess Rogue Mage. I have no excuse for losing to still. Anyway, good thing this has changed.
Oh man, good times. Right. So in other news, free character transfers are now available for the WoW Classic era. So
Okay, we only want 1 to 2 servers of this nonsense. Please transfer.
I know. It's just like what's funny is like I don't see in the notes like it just says they could transfer servers, but like I don't see.
No, it says at the top where
Okay. So basically, they're pushing everybody to white main for
white
PvP
main PvP and Mankirk.
Yep.
Yeah, for normal. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
classic era servers.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know that it is free. So like if you have one there, you don't play it much, maybe just do it just in case because it is free at the moment. The only stipulations is you can't move if you're a guild leader, you have an active auction listings or bids, or you have mail. So yeah, and then you may be required to lose your name, so do it as soon as possible because you will be required to change your name if somebody already has your name there. So, and I think Blazing Bob's open, so if you want to be me, just go ahead and do it.
I mean, but why?
exactly.
Why
But why,
encourage
Bob?
people to do this? Even like you're saying, even if you don't play, go and do this. So what? They have an inflated number of people that are actually interested in this stupid experience.
I
in my
just
opinion?
mean if they ever do something with them, I don't know that the free transfers will be available later. So if it takes you if you already paid to have your character stay there, you might as well do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like no one's actually playing either way.
It's providing data that like more people are interested in it than potentially are. And I guess they can have play data so they know like this many people are actually active on the server. But yeah, I don't know. Just weird.
Yeah,
And
I was just trying to
all
tell
power
people.
to those people. I do know that there are people that are like that do still play classic era servers, and that's awesome. But it's just not my thing.
It's very few people, but this will make those servers better. So the people that do play, that's open. So good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
In other news, they continue to try and fix Lady Vashj and KT. So Lady Vashj, I guess, would sometimes evade when backing up into shield generators. And like now they fixed that, but also like when they fixed the original threat drop bug, they actually for a short time broke the lanterns that you dunk the balls in. So literally, Lady Vashj was unkillable for a short time.
Yeah. I think the threat thing's fine. I think it's the backing up and evading into shield generators is what caused the bug. So I think she can still back up and evade in shield generators because they reverted that fix because it broke it more. So her threat I think is fine right now, but her backing up and evading I think is rebroken, and they'll have to put a new thing in because the evading is like annoying and what happens sometimes, but not being able to dunk was like no one can do the boss. So gotta revert that. Kind of crazy. Like it feels like they're struggling with bugs, and it's kind of like disheartening. Last week, the whole several weeks thing, the threat they knew about it for several weeks, and then this is just like they can't fix it. Like it worries me for future stuff, like Wrath even too. Like the more modern these things are, I bet the less intervention they want to have. Like they probably had to do a lot to classic vanilla to make it like functionable. Most likely, like they're probably like, okay, we
Well,
gotta
and
like,
they had Omar for that. They don't
yeah.
have him now.
And now it's like, now that it's more modern, they maybe didn't put as much work into like TBC as they did vanilla, and they're like, oh, shit's broken and we don't know how to fix it.
Well, and I think one of the big problems is they're trying to bring these bosses in their pre-nerf state, and I think lots of the pre-nerf states of lots of these different things were just broken. Like it.
Yeah, that could be as well too. Like this bug could have been there back then.
Like
it was a short period of time.
His pre-nerf state, he was broken. You know what I mean? Like bringing that in, like it's just you're just bringing in something that's broken. So I'm a little worried about them continuing to try to bring the pre-nerfed or not nerfed stuff in, and so yeah, I don't know. Did you have any dealing with this, Ayle?
With the which one?
Well, he doesn't do Vashj, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah, duh. Never mind.
Yeah, no, it's I've seen people have issues, but
I mean, this is a good reason not to do Vashj progression. They can't fix the boss.
Oh, we made a mistake. Only 5% of guilds have done it. That scares the shit out of me.
I mean, only less than double have done Kael'thas, so it's not too off.
Oh man! All right, well, that's basically it for like there's some bigger news coming, but we're going to talk about it in discussion. So the big news is, guys, WoW Classic Fresh is coming back, and they're calling it WoW Classic Season of Mastery. And yeah, so you just want me to go through these, or should we go through them piece by piece? And then you guys just chime in when you want to like talk about what I'm covering, or
let's go piece by piece.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I think the rate. I mean, at least the raid boss updates, the faster the next part, and the quality of life updates, or should at least be separated out into.
All right. Well, here we'll start at the start. You guys just jump in when you want to talk about it. So, and reading these, like, I know I joke about it all the time that Blizzard listens to the podcast, but wow, they like literally said like kind of like what we said when we discussed like new Classic Realms. But here goes. So they're going to do the 6 regular content phases, but they're going to do them faster. This is going to be a 6 phase launch on a 12-month total cadence. So they're basically going to the seasons that Yip asked for forever.
Yeah, just
ago.
remember, I was the first person to ever say WoW Classic Seasons. Okay, no one had even heard of the term. I said the.
I will tell you that I consume almost all WoW Classic content, and you were the first one that mentioned it to me. So,
well, every other game has seasons. Is really the what I'm joking about. Wasn't a hard thing to come up with.
But yeah, so that's going to be interesting. The first phase is going to be Molten Core, Onyxia, Moradon, but the PvP honor system and battlegrounds. Like, I don't think just Alterac Valley, Warsong Gulch. I think you're going to have all 3 battlegrounds there. Basically, and honor from the beginning. So as you're leveling up in Stranglethorn Vale, you're getting honor in the honor system. Like, what do you guys think about this?
So I think it's awesome. I think it'll promote a much healthier, like Twink community as well too. Because if battlegrounds are out from launch, maybe this time in Classic Fresh, all I want to do is like be a 19 rogue who does Warsong Gold.
I didn't even think about doing that. Oh, I might just, do that, dude.
Exactly. Like, it might be fun to go mess around and just, like, have a Twink character on these and then play.
Wow, that's a good idea. I didn't even think about. What do you think, Ayle?
That sounds like, yeah, that's something I didn't even consider either. That sounds pretty sweet.
Mel?
That's cool.
not just my idea. If you guys
I
have,
mean, I don't know. It's
I'm glad.
fine. Like,
It's obviously good though, right? Because how often have we complained about Phase 2 open world PvP? Like, obviously,
Well, yeah, and
oh,
everybody was
yeah.
like camping you because like they had nothing more to do at that point, right?
well, that's so like every way that somebody plays the game is actually a hierarchical decision. We've talked about this before, where like if Alliance is the bigger people on a server, they'll act the same way that Horde do on a server. Like everything is actually the game making people do stuff. And if in the game the best way to get honor is to camp a boat and kill people, then players
That's
will
what they'll
do
do.
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like they have to do something. They can't just be like, players should stop being so mean to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think that I don't know. I feel like it was obvious. I just didn't see the benefit of it. Like, I guess because I am in the boat that it's too soon and that I don't want to look at Classic again, but I know there are a lot of people that do. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that just
Yeah. It
Well,
feels like
we could save those thoughts for our closing, but like let's just hit on like the changes and stuff because
well, I think
like I'm
I
in
think
the
what
same
Mel's
boat. I think.
I think Mel brings up an interesting point though, is that it's kind of like right now we're shopping like on a full stomach. Where like
right.
it doesn't even matter what any of this stuff says because like you have to like put your heads into a mindset of like, do I want to play Classic Fresh? Like
Right.
and then so it's like it's hard to be it's like, yes, this is objectively correct, but it's hard to be like, woo, we're getting it.
Right. And I guess it's trying to identify who the audience is, right? Because just because we think that this is a good idea and this is what would help doesn't mean that the audience that is not us that is interested in playing Classic Fresh thinks that as well, right?
Yeah, you
And I
need
guess
some
that's
time to
where
grief
I
people.
struggle. What?
No, so you need some time to grief people, you know? Give them a phase to kill me in Black Rock.
No,
No, I
nobody
mean,
wants that back. Like, let's be real. Like, nobody wants to corpse walk to Dire Mall every time for months. Like, that was unreal, right? But I guess here's my thing is we can give our opinions on this, but is there anybody here that is with these changes or not
You're
planning
really
on
jumping.
playing Classic
Yeah,
Fresh? Okay,
you're
all right,
way jumping it. Like we'll ask that question after we go over it all.
okay.
um, so speaking of Dire Mall death runs, that's coming out in Phase 2, along with the world boss Zuragos and Kazakh. That's all that's coming out in Phase 2.
which is the same, right? I
It's
don't
the
even think
same except for the
Does-
PvP system being
yeah, everything else is
introduced.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Phase 3, Blackwing Lair, Dark Moon Fair, and Dark Moon deck drops begin. Phase 4, Zolgarub and the Green Dragons, world bosses. And then Phase 5, the Encourage War effort begins. And I kind of want to talk about this because at your accelerated schedule, how did they do AQ gate opening? Like some
What do you-
servers didn't open the gate
Yeah.
for like 6 weeks. So like
They might just move up the schedule of the automated turn-ins, I would imagine, to try to like
Yeah.
lower
Maybe.
the difference between the latest and the earliest servers. They would have to do something like that.
I feel like they just have to open it up because like yeah,
Well,
I
I
guess
feel
it
like they
depends
can
on
decrease the
the
effort level, right? They can decrease the effort level of how much you have to do based on the population, right? So your server population is this, and you need this many things to open up the gates.
Yeah.
Oh,
they
and
could do
it
something
does
like that.
actually say in the next line, the Encourage raids open as the war effort
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
dictates. So maybe they are already planning on some sort of
Yeah, they're definitely going to keep the war effort. Yeah, they're definitely going to keep the war effort.
Yeah, I
They
think there
should
has to be
change it.
some, right? They have to
Yeah.
change it a little bit and they have to say like, "Hey, here is what it is based on your server population," right? Like you need this much from this and this much from that. And I think that would be appropriate.
Makes sense.
Okay. And then Phase 6 is Naxxramas and the Scourge invasion. So does anybody have anything about the timeline they want to
No.
hit on before I go to the next part?
I think it's good. I think a year. The problem is like I would love it to be 6 to 9 months, but with vanilla WoW, it's just there's too much content to get through in that time. But to think a season being a year long is a long time to be like, oh, I'll play this season of Classic Fresh. It lasts a whole year, and when does the next one start? Immediately after, like. Just is a
Yeah.
lot of WoW. But other than that, of course, the timeline I think makes sense. A little bit shorter, plus earlier battlegrounds. I think overall they could have done it the first time.
Yeah. Okay. So then the next part is like they tried to do the original classic WoW with the challenge of patch 1.12 from the original World of Warcraft release. As we know, that has a lot of like bug fixes, a lot of like gear changes that were huge, a lot of different things. So while they strived to be faithful to the recreation of that real release, many raid encounters turned out to be easier than the first time around. Players simply were more experienced, prepared, and patch updates greatly increased player power as to like gear and stuff. So with that in mind, they're planning to make those early raid bosses a bit more of pack a bit more of a punch, and attempt to recapture the original challenge presented. These changes currently include, but are not limited to, so there could be more that come later, but world buffs like Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer and others disabled in raid instances. Restoring mechanics that were removed early on to some raid bosses. No boss debuff limit up from 16 debuffs in Classic WoW. So now every warlock in your raid can have corruption up, is just an example. Increased health on bosses to offset player buffs and the removed debuff limit. So this is kind
Goodbye,
of what I asked
Warriors.
for. Yeah.
Goodbye. I loved you. This is awesome. This is like really cool. This is enough changes that I would almost want to play it again. If rating wasn't 40 people and like it would be such a huge pain to go back and do this. This sounds cool. And I like the theme, the mastery thing. Like we're stripping world buffs, we're making it hard. You can use your full class though. So we're getting rid of debuff limit. So you get to use your whole thing. If you want to go Mortal Strike a boss, you're welcome. But you have to deal with all this other stuff. It sounds like a lot of fun. And like if this was like, I don't want to say this is like a single player game, I would want to go back and try it. Like, can I do this challenge? But knowing how much coordination it takes, that's a whole other ball game to get through.
It sounds like a whole new era of like actual min-maxing like WoW theory craft. Like there's so much crafting you could do now because this changes everything.
Well, I feel like too you have to look at it's exciting, and it actually, I know everybody initially was like no changes, right? And then we kind of realized no changes meant we're better at learning and can exploit the game better now.
Yeah, the game's easy all the way till Nax, basically.
Yes. I mean, the game was a cakewalk all the way to Nax. Let's be real. Even having 40 people, we didn't even need 40 people to clear most of the content, right?
I mean, phase 2, we were like some days going in, or maybe one going in a Molten Core with like 32 people.
31, 32,
31,
yeah.
doesn't matter.
I mean, it was pretty bad, right? And so I think what you have to look at is, yes, people don't want changes, right? But they want it to feel the same. That was the intention of no changes. They wanted it to feel the same. And what happened was we got in there and it was so easy that we were like, wait, what?
And I'll make the argument that it felt the same to private server players, but OG players like myself, it did not feel the same at all. What do you think,
Fair.
I mean, yeah, once people start getting world buffs and rumbling on through and fast stacking. I mean, I did play on private servers, so that's kind of what it was like, but it definitely didn't have the free form, people could do anything. But I don't know. I don't know if this is actually going to do what people think it's going to do, because if they're increasing the difficulty as well as like the debuff gap, it might make people min max whatever is the top for this, right?
Oh,
Because
like even harder now
even
because
harder, yeah,
yeah.
because it's things are going to be harder. There's not going to be world buffs. I just wonder, like, if people are actually going to enjoy this, or if they're going to think they do but they don't, because who wants, like, the
You think you
part
do, but you don't.
I mean, I really enjoyed getting buffed up and going and smashing dungeons that we'd already cleared a bunch. So in 6 months late down the road, am I gonna have fun doing like a 3-hour MC where everything takes forever? I mean, probably not. And you have to do
Right.
it because the gear, you still need the gear. So it's gonna
Yeah.
add a lot of time to things that I mean, not to be like a Debbie Downer, like I'm kind of the opposite. I'm on the pro world buff strain. So
Well,
they're gonna have. I feel like there's gonna have to be more changes still, because with this compressed timeline and the amount of loot that drops, I feel like more loot has to drop.
that
Yeah.
If
was
something
another
like
thing
that.
I was
For
going to
sure,
bring
more
up.
loot. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it is.
that's you can't see me, right? That's why you're
Yeah.
over talking me. Yeah, yep, I get it. No, but I think that that's one of the big things, right? Like more loot needs to drop so that you're doing this. But I do think that it would be interesting to see what classes excelled outside of world buffs, right? Because right now you go back and with world buffs, these classes are the best. But without world buffs and without debuff limits, what class is actually excelling? Could you
Yeah.
play something different and be successful and even like change the game in that way?
I think Ayle does have a good point though, where if we already do this in TBC, where we were like, like it matters a little bit what you play, but if you're a good player, you can join the raid, like as long as you're playing your class well. But like we're already like, oh, I wish we had an Ellie shaman here. Like, oh no, 2 rogues. Like we're already feeling this like, oh man, like what classes do we need? What classes can we bring to make this easier? But in the easy content of Classic, we're like, are you a body that fills 40 people? Then then come join us.
Come
Like just
on
come
in.
grab your consumes and world buffs, and it doesn't matter what class you are because we'll get the content down. So there definitely is, I think, the worry of min-maxing, especially the people who decide to play Classic fresh. Because again, like Mal
Right.
said, it won't be everybody. It'll just be the people really interested in it. It could end up being a super min-maxy situation and not just a place where people can have fun in theory craft. I bet a month before this comes out, we'll already know which class will be the best. People will know already which can output the simulator something the best DPS, and I can see it going that way too. Yeah, that's tough.
Well,
But it'll at least be different, right? And I guess that's my thing.
It'll be
It'll
different.
at
Yeah,
least be
they could do
different. Like, it
nothing.
won't
Yeah,
be Warriors the best class without world buffs. It won't be, right?
yeah.
and
Even if
It might be.
well, yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely still could be.
It. I played on a private server that actually had the similar no world buffs, and warriors were still the strongest. But it depends what buffs they make to the boss, because they could actually balance classes that way. The reason that warriors are so strong is that you actually have so many armor reduction effects,
True.
which gave them, like, which people didn't use before, right? So that way, like, back in the day, I remember casters were really strong. Everybody wanted mages. Rogues were still decent, but like DPS warriors, like people didn't really care about. But now, because everybody uses Curse of Recklessness, all the Sunders, Fairy Fire, warriors are like super buff, right? And on the private server that I played on, it was still the same because you could still reduce the boss's armor so low. So if one of the adjustments they make to this is to increase the boss armor, I think that's something that they would have to look at if they're trying to balance classes, because then they would need to do that to knock warriors off the top tier, not just boss health.
Yeah. You don't think that the debuff limit might improve enough classes like Warlock or something where they might be able to overtake at least later? Because Warlocks were doing pretty decently, like in Nax and in AQ and stuff, it seemed like.
It really all comes down to what the boss armor is, because that's
Yeah.
just like a flat percent always up damage increase, right? So
Yeah.
I hope that's something they do consider if they're doing it this way, just so that it isn't like a melee stack again that makes everything the best. But honestly, without world buffs, you might not get the speedrunning guilds even playing it. Like, I know when this came out, I've been playing New World again with Onslaught, the top horde speedrunning guild in the world, and they're all like, you know what, we're not even going to look at it because we like to go fast, and this is made to kind of not do that. So it's kind of not
Yeah.
for us, and that's fine. People want to play it that way, we had our experience, you guys have yours, right? So
Well, and that
I
kind
guess
of
it's trying
brings
to.
me to my
Go ahead.
next like deal, and this is where it really is kind of rough because this sounds great to me if I was going to replay Classic WoW. And if this came out after Wrath was over, I'd be like, I might try it. But the problem is they're
Right.
trying to grab the people that like vanilla only, and that's the private server player base, and they like world
there's more
buffs.
changes to go through. You're jumping ahead, Bob. Bob, you're jumping
I
way
don't-
ahead. Let's
Right,
get through all
weren't
the
you
changes
arguing
before we
with
start
me about
talking
this?
about.
World buffs is a
Yeah.
pretty big one, though, for the private server community. Would you agree, Ayle?
I think so.
He
Yeah.
just
There was-
said he played
yeah,
a private
but the
server
problem is-
without world buffs, though.
But
The problem
it
is there's
failed,
no
right?
way. But there's no
Yeah.
way they were going to release a season anytime soon with world buffs. I know Ayle likes them, but I just don't see them trying an iteration that has world buffs right away. When I think that most people, or like a big talking point, has been getting rid of world buffs. So even if we think that world buffs are better for the game health, I think they have to try this and fail before they could realize that.
But the big talking point has been from people like us that are playing TBC that aren't going to play this. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to get the people who aren't playing TBC at
You're
the
talking
moment.
about private servers are such a... those people were super loud at the beginning of Vanilla Classic. I don't believe for a second that private server players are even a target at all anymore. Private server players were playing TBC private servers during Classic Vanilla. Okay, like they were jumping ship back then to like endless and stuff. So I don't think they're targeting private server players. I think they're targeting people who maybe aren't into TBC, like people who want to play vanilla but want it to be more like their experience originally. I think they are getting rid of like really hardcore, the ability to speedrun maybe too hardcore. I've always liked the idea of maybe world buffs after a short period of time, like open up world buffs later for
Kinda
farming.
like how Nas did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
So
4
here's my thing.
weeks.
Is that what I feel like Blizzard is failing to do here is identify their audience and identify who actually their target population is. Because from what I see is they're putting a lot of effort into making a new fresh classic server, blah, 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 doing all of this. And Vashj and the end bosses
are
current
broken.
TBC are bugged, right? And that's annoying to me.
Yeah,
one.
that's definitely very fair.
Two, I think that they are making changes for an audience that is not going to play. They're making changes.
I don't know, actually.
Go ahead.
Because I think there's a lot of people who have quit, who prefer Classic, who tried TBC and don't like it. The biggest example I can think of is Apes. They quit TBC because they're just like, it really wasn't what we thought it was going to be. And all of those players, like a lot of the private server players, have been hopping from private server to private server. There's a lot of people who like chase that like fresh feeling, and even in my guild.
So that's their market.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's the people who are going to private servers, because a lot of people love leveling up when everybody is like really weak at the beginning and acquiring gear before epics happen. It's like everybody loves like a fresh. And if you've been on any of the subreddits for that, it's like people are always like, when's the next fresh, right? So I think there is a large amount of people who play a game for the first 6 months to I wouldn't say a year, but for the first little bit, and then quit and go to like the next fresh. And if they have like season set up, I think that is going to be for them. And for the people who love leveling, there's a lot of the people out there who do like the hardcore community and things like that. And I think that this is kind of it's kind of a lot more for those people. The people who like leveling, the people who want fresh, people who played DBC and were like, you know what, tried it, didn't really like it. I'd rather play some sort of a classic, but there isn't really a good one. I think that's who it's for. I think there is
So
a
do you
large.
think that these address that though? Do you think that these help those people?
I think it helps some of them. I don't think it helps enough of them, and because I think there's a lot of people who like to do classic speedrunning, like on Fresh, and it's those people aren't going to get that from this, or at least they will without world buffs. But a lot of people in that community like really like to have the buffs, right?
Yeah, I think a big problem is we're trying to identify an audience of an MMO. I don't think that the design philosophy at Blizzard is to have like a single set of personas that are like, this is our target audience. I think they want it to be as like open to people as possible. Like it would surprise me if any of their meetings are trying to like define their target other than the marketing teams. But the development teams, I can imagine they're trying to make as many people happy as possible as opposed to certain people as happy as possible. And I think that's just a symptom of
Right,
every MMO.
Well, and
Yeah,
then
that's an unending challenge, right? You
Oh,
can never
yeah,
make
for sure.
everybody happy, right? There's always going to be those people that are not happy with whatever you've done. But I do think that putting the effort and the resources into Classic Fresh, I think is great because I think there is an audience there for it. But I think that they need to be careful that they're not listening to the audience that is not going to play that right now. And a lot of the people that have been very vocal and outspoken about it are people that are not going to come back, right?
well,
And that's fine. Go ahead, Bob.
well, the one big elephant in the room for me here is with the no specifically the no world buffs thing is phase 6. I'm going to be watching it because I want to see these streamers actually be able to take Nax day 1 with no world buffs. Like, it's going to be uncanny to try and watch them. And you guys pointed out earlier, to top it off, with the shortened schedule, people aren't going to be BIS. Like, I was getting BIS towards the end of every phase, and the phases were long. Like, there's no way everybody's gonna have BIS if they keep the current loot drops. So like, people aren't gonna be BIS, and on
They
top of
probably
that,
want
not
that,
have
yeah.
world buffs. It's gonna be
I'm
hilarious.
gonna say something super controversial, and I apologize, Ayle, but I think speedrunning with world buffs is like super lame. I think that trying to like do Nax first in the first 30 minutes it comes out and being able to do it very easily is really lame. I think that people like me would find speedruns way more interesting in harder content. I know that's not what like current speedrun guilds like to do, but to me it's like watching someone play Dark Souls instead of watching someone speedrun Super Mario, and it takes them 3 minutes to do Super
Right.
Mario. They're gating to the last world. I want to see someone struggle and see how fast they can do it.
I'll agree with that too. The only thing that makes the speed running exciting for me is deaths, and like that kind of sucks. Like,
Okay, yeah. It'll make the wipe way less exciting. Watching a speedrun called wipe when sometimes comes out, you're like, oh, but I don't watch that because I don't watch speedrunning guilds. I'll listen. Or like I mean, I guess I watched the TBC stuff, but it just wasn't like there's no world buff, so I was more interested in it that time. It just seemed better. The speedrunning of vanilla seems so unobtainable to normal players. Yeah, everyone's like petrify flasking, and 99% of everyone still has their world buffs the whole way through. It just for normal people, it's like hard to obtain that.
Right, but should it be easy? Like, are we in the everybody gets a trophy, column here? Like it shouldn't be easy. It should be hard. But I think the reason it's hard is because of the expectation of like everything that you have to do to prep for it.
Well,
But
I'm just saying
feel
it's
like-
boring to watch because
Fair.
of course they can do it very quickly. They're
Right,
like
'cause they
doing
have
all
all
these
these-
crazy things. They've mastered the old game. This to me is more exciting. There could be like new names of speed
because
running
it's new.
because of this, because it's new and different, and because it's harder.
And like,
and
who
because
knows? Stacking warlocks with all those debuffs, who knows what you can do?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it'll be more interesting to me. Who knows though? It's just something that's not for me. I still might not be interested in it. You maybe
Right.
don't want to target me with speedrunning guilds. Like I don't watch speedruns of other games. Like, like they're. So who knows? But just a final thought on that.
I mean, I
I
just
think
think it's funny because no one was holding a gun to anyone's head saying they have to use world buffs in Classic.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And now they actually have to outlaw it for people to be able to do it. I mean,
Well,
like
I think it's
I think
it's
that's silly.
because if you want to do the best, you're going to use world buffs, right?
Yeah, it was a
And
slow
so
burn. Like everybody doing the world buffs, it's just by the end, if you were rating Dax, you're getting world buffs every week. There was nobody not getting buffs.
Maybe
in
if
our
there were no consumes, maybe world buffs would have been better though. But the fact that in Nax I was like paying a bunch of money for consumes and then getting world buffs.
right. But I guess what I'm saying here is that the one promising thought I have about this is that not one promising. I think it's I think the changes are good. I like the changes and I wish they would have been there before, but at the same time, do I wish they would have been there before because I went through it and I'm like, God, you guys didn't learn from phase 2? Or do I wish it would have been there before and it would have been different and maybe my experience would have been different and I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, right? I don't know that, right? I can't see that. But what I will say is that them having a 12-month cadence allows them to change every 12 months. And that's not something they've said. But every 12 months, I feel like there is
Yeah,
that
there'll be a different
opportunity
season name
for
with a different thing.
something different and something new and bringing in a different, you know, audience and bringing in these people. And maybe there's like a cadence where at one point they have a, whatever is it, death mode. I feel like it's not death mode, but
Hardcore
Hardcore.
mode or like if you
hardcore.
die, you're done. Yeah. They should honestly. This is ever talking, but I think that drastic changes like this are good. Whether or not, I mean, I kind of like Ayle's opinion of like all these non-private server players started playing Classic WoW. Now they're like
Mhm.
outlawing world buffs because we're all babies. Like, I can that must be kind of frustrating if you like world buffs. But I do think that if you do like world buffs, just hope this fails and they'll bring them back probably, I think that if it's less good this way, then they'll
And they'll
change it.
probably
But
bring him back when you're actually willing to play again, Ayle.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, but Ayle, here's my question. Do you like the gathering of world buffs and them being dispellable and all of that? Or do you just like the way that world buffs help
He
the
likes the
raid?
power, right?
It's the power. Yeah, it's all about the power.
Okay, so what if they made world buffs accessible like in, Orgrimmar and Stormwind and Ironforge, but not dispellable either? So once you got them, you got them. Or what if they had the Chrono Boost boon, the Chrono boon
They will
from
have
day
the
one?
Chrono Boon from day one.
Will
Yeah,
they?
but they can't
Does it say
use
that?
world buffs and raid
They'll
instances, so it doesn't
still
matter.
have, but you'll be able to
Or
use it
outside.
for other stuff, though.
Okay, but what I'm saying is like
You're
the
saying that
Chrono
super
Boon.
confidently, but how do you know that?
I don't know that. I'm just,
Okay, I
I'm
was just
guessing.
wondering. I was
Just
wondering if
because
there
the
was,
first PTR server they spun up had Chrono
right?
Boon.
Yeah, they had chrono boons. Yeah.
So, Ayle, do you think that having the Chrono Boon and allowing world buffs would be a good thing, or did you
Better than
like the fear of losing world buffs?
I'm totally not the target audience for any of this because I thought it was fine. But like our guild had everything so organized that it was never a problem for us. We planned all our drops basically
Yeah, but you
down
didn't have
to
any alliance on your server
Yeah, also
either.
no alliance on the
So,
well, no,
server. Yeah.
that's not true. That's not true. We had alliance for the first 2 phases, and
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
it was the number 1, number 2 alliance guild in the server, and we fought through it and battled through it, and it was
I'll
we
be
lived
honest.
for the war, so that was fine.
I kind of do miss like the hangout where everyone comes online is getting world buffs and whining about it a little bit.
There it
There
is.
is a sense of like community
And watching the same 3 people get dispelled multiple times as they head back to Dire Ball.
seeing everyone in Booty Bay like hanging out while we ate. Like there was some elements I enjoyed about it. And it
right.
was like the one time you're interacting with people outside your guild. Like it's the only time you had to do that. You're like, well, I
Right.
guess you still, if you have a super organized guild, you don't have to do that. But for most people, they were joining these groups. I'm not saying I want to do it every week. I'm the kind of player like I don't agree with Ayle. Like there is a thing where like the game I think does dictate how people play. I will always play like to the best ability that they give
Right.
me. So I'm the kind of person this targets where it's like I'll get world buffs so they exist. I would rather them not so that I don't have to go get them. but I will always do the hardest. That is like I'll do the thing that exists. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
this is very drastic. So
I guess I also think about too, like, what does everybody love about Classic? And I say, what does everybody love? But I really mean, what do I love? And what I love about Classic is the community and the people that I get to spend time with. And I know it's 40 people, but we had a rockin' like healer chat. Like we were all like very engaged and like friends,
yeah.
right? You make all of these friends, and 40 people sucks, right? Like
Now I
it's
hate
so
all
hard
these
to get
people in
40
my
people.
guild.
It's so hard to get 40 people together at the same time to do the same objective, right? Like that's hard, but we did it. And I don't want anything that'll limit that, I guess is my comment. Is that I just don't want that is what I think is special about Classic. Vanilla.
Ohana means family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are some other changes. It's not just
I
raid
know.
changes.
Does anybody have anything else they want to say before we go to these last couple changes?
I'll just reiterate my overall point. I like it. I'd be excited if TBC didn't exist at all and they were like, no, we're done, and they started coming out with this. I'd be very excited about this. It's just I'm so into TBC. It's very hard to like. TBC changes a lot of the things that I didn't like in vanilla, so I really love TBC. But I mean, so many of our friends have like not been that into TBC.
Yep.
It like if you weren't that into TBC, I think that I would be into this. So I'm
Okay,
pretty
so
excited.
I'm there too.
Selfishly, if this takes people away from our guild,
It won't.
maybe I hate this.
All right.
Well,
And so for the final point, I'm going to give it to Ayle, and then we're going to move on because Ayle just didn't get to talk as much
Ayle talked.
with interruptions.
I
Ayle,
never.
do you want to have your final thought?
No, I think it's good. I think there's going to be people who want to play this, and I'm all for it. I likely won't, but that's fine. Not everything has to be for me. I have
What?
TBC, so
what a reasonable. That's what a come off from Mel's everyone's favorite part of Classic WoW. It's my favorite part.
I said Ayle gets the final word.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So the next thing is they're going to do faster leveling. Basically, 1 to 60 XP rates are going to be the same as Burning Crusade Classic, with a bigger focus on quest XP increases. This might like push people to actually quest in the world instead of dungeoning.
Let's ignore mage boosting because we'll talk about that in a minute. So
Yeah.
pull that out of this conversation entirely. This is great. As an alliance player, we all know that this was like the questing experience is just not good. Objectively, it's not just Classic WoW isn't for you if you don't like having 4 levels worth of grinding you have to do. Come on, like the quests were not set up well. I think this is fine.
Literally 42 to 52. Like you just don't have anything.
The 1 through 60 experience in TBC is like perfect. It's totally good. Very, very reasonable. Still a good amount of time. It's not nothing. Like it's not just like, we're gonna be 60 in a day. It will still take normal people a while to hit 60, but not so long that they're like they can't keep up with the faster cadence, I guess, of the releasing.
Okay, but can we talk about this? Instead of just having a faster cadence and things giving you more XP, can we just like reduce the number of things? Because there is a certain element of completionist, right? Where you're like, yes, I completed a quest. I got 250 XP. Like, I don't care how much it is, right? But I'm sorry, but those ones that you have me do that are like 30 of this and 30 of that.
You want each individual quest to be easier?
In their random drop quests, like, I'm gonna murder you. Like, that.
No.
Like, no.
Get out. Those are people like me. Those are my favorite quests.
Oh my God.
Kill 1,000 things until you get enough items. Like that's basically just grinding.
Dude,
with
it's like
quest earnings. I love that.
It's like the quest in Wetlands, right? Where you have to get the ooze bag to drop, and like you've been doing it for 30.
Seconds.
No, you've been doing it for 35 mobs, and then your friend comes in, joins the group, he gets it immediately. It's a shared drop, so you get it too, but you're like, fuck you. It's like,
Well,
Right.
those are the fun
I'll
things.
I'll use Mel's
All I'm
logic
saying
here.
is that
The time it takes to reduce XP compared to the development time of changing every quest to how you'd like it, I have a feeling that
let me
the cost.
have a conversation with them because listen, the ratio strain of your reinforcement schedule there is really high and you need to provide more reinforcement because even if I were to do 5 quests that had the same freaking thing, it would provide me more satisfaction if I got to turn them in and feel like I accomplished something at that
Well, that's
point.
something that TBC does really well is the hub questing, where you have like a bunch of quests to turn in. Each individual quest is usually very, very simple. You like go out for 30 minutes and you've done 6 quests and you come turn
Right.
them in. Yeah,
Right.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Ayle?
but they're definitely not doing that. But
Ayle.
On which part? Which part?
Faster
faster leveling.
leveling.
I think it's good. It's a compressed timeline, so I feel like they would have to do something. Otherwise, the casual players and things like that, like under a 12-month timeline, each tier is going to be 3 months, right?
yeah,
So the first tier is going to be pretty much over by the time a lot of people level. Like if it takes you more than a month, that would be too long. So I think having the accelerated
Yeah.
leveling is good. I think some people aren't going to like that part as well, but I mean, you can't please everybody. And I like the format of them making the season, spicing it up a bit. Even though, like personally, I don't like not having the world buffs, but I think doing this in a season is smart and will be interesting.
Well,
have you been
it
on a
seems
server
like
with
you're
faster XP?
I mean, apart from like TBC, yeah, actually I have, but it was like a 7x or something.
Okay, yeah, like way too much more.
Yeah, like a lot. So
seems
Would
like
you be?
your
Would you be?
dog is
Yeah.
pretty into the change, though.
yeah, I got to
Uh,
take her out at some point. So
Would you be down if Blizzard had real servers with like 10x XP to just like rush past the leveling part? Or do you like that part a lot?
I do like it. Um, I think classic people being able to skip by it so much. I feel like, at least to me, maybe this is a bit of a Mel thing, but like I feel like that isn't classic. People should level.
Yeah,
It's a big part of it,
makes
and
sense.
being able to skip it with mage boosting and things like that, I think is a problem. So the fact that they're looking into that as well, I also like.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
so let's talk about that. Let's transition into that. They said they're looking into it, right? They didn't give much more info.
I mean, it's an easy fix. Like, if someone's 5 levels higher than you, you don't get XP. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, it's interesting. I part of me is sort of interested in them leaving it alone, but I don't know. I'm trying to think like you'd have to do a little bit more XP than available now. So like their proposed accelerated leveling wouldn't be enough to offset mage boosting. It would be interesting though to see like if quests were giving even slightly more XP, like you still have the same amount of XP requirement for that 1 to 60 that you do in TBC, but you also double quest XP. Maybe most people would just like instead of paying the gold, just go do questing and leveling. Because for me, I only really mage boost because it just isn't feasible for a normal working person. I feel like to level up more than a
Agreed.
couple of
Yeah,
characters
it's
on
like
your own.
Okay, so
it
here's the
felt
thing.
bad, but hold on though. Let me throw this in there since we're doing the mage stuff. It's not
Yeah.
only the mage boosting that's a problem, it's also the economy of having a mage. If you're still able to do the huge pulls, even if you're not boosting, you're still making a ton of money. And that's a big problem.
Okay, fair. But what I want to point out is that, like Yip said, I'm going to do it because it's there. And I had the gold because it was an alt. And I was like, yeah, I just want to get up to here, right? I think what they could do is decrease the amount of experience you get in a dungeon, but you could increase the amount of experience you get for quests that are like single dungeon quests, right?
Mm,
So, like,
So you
you
do
get
every
it
dungeon
one
once,
time. So
basically.
every dungeon, because what I don't want to happen is that nobody ever does dungeons, right? Because that's
Yeah.
what would happen. So nobody would ever do dungeons. They were
I
just
don't think so.
ridiculously.
I think they would do it just like you and I did in our original classic, where we did the dungeon 3 or 4 times to get gear, and then we continued on questing.
Correct.
Well, the
But
problem is they're talking about all XP gains exclusively being quest XP. That's what they're
Mhm.
saying. So they might disincentivize dungeons.
right,
I
where
think they
all of
said
a
a
sudden,
bigger
like,
focus on quest XP increases, not
The
soul
proposed
focus.
increased XP gains are focused entirely on quest XP, is what they say, talking about the mage boosting.
so you'll still get
Okay, I
XP
gotcha.
from
On the mage
going to
boosting
a
page,
Yeah, I
they
dungeon.
gotcha.
say, yeah.
You'll
On the
still
other
get
article.
XP in a dungeon, but you won't get the expedited XP, right?
Yeah. So
But I think if
having the quests be worthwhile.
right.
The one thing I was sad I didn't get to do, because it just wasn't worthwhile traveling to them. However,
Mhm.
there's another change. But just to travel, I want to do every dungeon once as I level. I think that's how the game
Agreed.
should go. Or like
I
just
feel
about
like
every
3
dungeon once.
times. I feel like 3
I mean,
times is a
3
good
times,
run.
if you want to
Like,
do it, that's
1 to
fine. But
3
I feel
times.
like naturally, it's nice to see all the content as you level.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, and that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want to disincentivize dungeons so much that nobody ever does them and they only quest.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think it's
mean,
a fair concern to have.
but the incentive is like definitely, especially in classic, the gear is exponentially better than anything you get from questing.
Yep.
Whereas
Yeah.
TBC changes that, but like it
Yeah.
definitely doesn't change.
I think we just can't
vanilla.
know. I just think we can't know right now, like, where that like equilibrium line is of, okay, we've made it so no one wants to do dungeons, because it's a serious problem leveling alt right now if you're not boosting, especially
Yeah.
with the paid boost in though. Like, you just can't do dungeons, and that's like kind of a bummer. Any new player or even someone, listen, a lot of people I met in Classic had never played WoW at all. Vanilla Classic was like their first time playing WoW. That might happen again with this season. People will be like, "Oh, it's faster to level. Oh, it's like you don't have to do a bunch of stuff outside of
I'll
raid."
try it
Like, so
out.
yeah. But then to go log in and see no one does dungeons would be a huge bummer. So I think that's a valid concern and something they should monitor. Like, whatever the quest XP rate is, people should still want to do dungeons while leveling.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Just not
and I
farm
just
them.
and I just feel like wanting to do dungeons is wanting to get that gear to make your questing
Right, and
easier.
that could be. I just truly have no idea what those numbers would end up looking like.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, and we don't know, and I don't think they know. So
I don't think they know either. Yeah.
oh, but in addition, and the last thing we got here is like the last couple changes is they're going to increase mining and herbalism nodes across the map. I think one of the big changes that they probably need to do with that is to make is it Black Lotus drop just in random herbalism nodes. So like just like they kind of do it now in TBC, like don't have Black Lotus spawns, just have them spawn like Arcanite crystals do in large thorium veins. And then the other
So I have a
thing.
problem with this.
Okay.
Can I
Yeah.
discuss that first? Because I'm an herbalist, right? So yes, Fel Lotus is the thing you need. And guess what?
Black
Fel
Lotus.
Lotus.
Oh, Fel
No.
Lotus
In
in
TBC.
TBC.
In TBC. Fel Lotus is the thing you need that drops randomly. And it's cheap as hell. You know what isn't cheap as hell? Terracone and all of these other herbs and mana thistle, right? So there's a new Black Lotus because you've made this other one. You're like, oh, I'm trying to make sure that these aren't this, but the same thing happens. So if you really want to correct it, honestly, you make every node a random sample based on the level it is, right? Like, this is a level 35 node. You can get one of these 3 herbs. This is a level 50 node. You can get one of these 3
Oh,
herbs.
like it'll be here's a rock. You don't know what you're mining until you dig into it. You mean?
Right, but it's a
Oh,
level.
here's a
But how do you
plant.
do
Like,
that
it's
for
a
a flower
plant.
though? Yeah.
What?
Like that would make sense, the rock, like you don't know what you're mining until you like mine it, but like a flower, like A tulip's a tulip. A rose is a
There's
rose.
big difference. I do want to point out, Mana Thistle's not like Black Lotus, though, in the fact Black Lotus is on a respawn timer, right? A hard
Yeah.
respawn timer that they ended up having to change. So there is, and like only one per zone spawns. Like there are some functional differences between the two, but you're
There
right that
is.
there's a stopgap of like there's a like bottleneck with a certain herb.
Yeah, and I mean they say that they're going to change Black Lotus to be more like Fel Lotus, which just makes Black Lotus irrelevant, right? Because it's not going to, I don't know,
I
something
remember
else will
paying
become the Black Lotus.
early Nax, we were paying 600 gold a flask to flask.
Yeah.
Each of our tanks, we're using 12 flasks a week. In the first couple weeks on White Mane, we're 600 gold a piece. So I'm fine with them doing some Black Lotus changes, I guess is all I.
Oh, for sure. I guess I'm just trying to say, like, 100% something needs to be done with Black Lotus, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but what?
it is not okay the way that it was. But at the same time, do we think that just doing something simple is going to make it less effective? And I don't know.
Yeah, this is a simple change that should have been put in from the beginning when they had
Yeah.
servers 3 to 4 times larger than the original vanilla servers. Like they should have increased nodes. That's my opinion. Ayle, do you have
Yeah,
anything on
but I
this
am
one?
excited. I am excited that they are doing that, right? Like, I do think that that is a good change and it's something that definitely needed to happen. And also, it's something that probably isn't as necessary if there's not as many people on the server. But it's fine.
Ayle?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to push the pain point to somewhere else, right? Like it's probably going to be Plague Bloom or something. I feel like the whole system might need to be looked at in some regards, right? Because otherwise, especially without world buffs, I think the focus on consumables is going to be even bigger. Maybe it's going to be rage pots
Oh,
or
good point. Yeah,
thistle
good point.
tea or whatever. So I think the way the people play games, you have to be the best, you have to min max. I think it's going to push it into somewhere else. Hopefully, I mean not hopefully. I mean I hope it doesn't as much, but I just feel like with the way players are, that's probably where it's going to end up.
All right, and then the last
I agree.
thing on the list is meeting stones converted to summoning stones.
So
I'll
the
let
thing
you
I
guys
said,
go because I'm on the fence on this one.
the thing I said about doing every dungeon once, this would be huge in helping that. Because getting all 5 low-level people over to Black Fathom Deeps, like, how do you even do that? So I personally like the change. I think that travel in Vanilla WoW is one of those things that is really special and making the world seem super, super big. But at the same time, at the risk of
You've
just like
stood on a
content
slow
being
mount too long.
well, it's like yeah, at the risk of like no, I mean it's special, like right? It's like oh, this big world. It takes 30 minutes to take a flight path across. That's cool, but come on.
Cool,
Like I
like
think there
once.
are when you're hurting the actual content that people want to do because of travel time, that's getting a little crazy. I've never really played EverQuest, but my brothers used to tell me that they got a boat in there that's like real time and you'd have to wait like hours to get off at your spot or something, like an hour to go to where you're going. Like there are things that are interesting that are not necessarily. I think that the gameplay benefit to having summoning stones outweighs the like issues. You'd still have to have like level caps. It'd still only be people in that level range to do the dungeons. So at like 60, you can't cheese your way across like the world. But getting people into dungeons, like, come on,
What
like
if you had to have the area discovered to be summon eligible?
I just have a problem. It goes back to the Black Fathom Deeps thing because that is one that I wanted to do with my friends leveling, but I just couldn't convince everyone to go over there.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, if you only had to uncover the map in that
Like at
area
any point in time.
at any point in time, not like you had to be there in the zone, but I'm saying, like, you had to have at least traveled there once. Because what I fear is that summoning stones now are just going to allow people to gather flight paths and do things, which to me is wonderful,
You
right?
have to be level
Because I've
appropriate,
already
I think.
experienced it. And I guess we have to decide if we're talking to an audience that has already experienced it, or if they're trying to talk to
we
an
don't
audience
have
that
to.
has not.
We just
Yeah,
have to
forget
talk
our
about
audience.
how we have to feel about it. That's what we do as a show. I'm tired of like doing the whole, oh, how does everybody else feel about it? Sorry, this is our show. This is how
No,
we
I
feel
agree.
about it. You
I
can
think
write
everyone else
into
is
us.
wrong. Even if they think that they want, and maybe Ayle doesn't want summoning stones, maybe we'll have this conversation. But come on.
The only
That's
thing
how I feel.
I will say is like, yeah, like Ragefire Chasm for Alliance and like RFK, and then freaking the worst of them is like Scarlet Monastery is so important, and it's a bitch for Alliance to get there. Easy as pie for Horde to get there. You know,
Right.
so like, yeah.
Okay, so here's my thing.
Well, hold on.
is
Let
that-
Ayle talk. You haven't like you like.
No, can I just
let
say
Ayle
one
talk?
thing?
Okay, one
No,
thing.
thing.
I think that if they are going to make a classic fresh server, it should be catered to the classic community who has already seen the content. So I agree that Summoning Stone should be there, right? I think if they would like to make a whole new game, they can look at new players. That's all.
Drops the mic.
So are you for or against summoning stones?
I
Me?
think they're great.
You think they're
Okay. There we go.
I think a lot of these changes are based off of players, okay, controversial opinion, who should have just rolled on a PvE server and none of these issues would have really mattered as much. I think a lot of people are upset by things because they rolled on a PvP server when they shouldn't have. They should have gone PvE, right? So like I think I'm gonna miss rumbling into a dungeon with your full raid and like fighting. But you know, that's the opposite from a lot of people. A lot of people hated fighting their way into dungeons on PvP servers and losing their buffs or whatever, right? Or like
Yeah, but Summoning Stones weren't like you could still get griefed at a Summoning Stone. We have Summoning Stones right now.
yeah, so now
And
the battle's just going to be at the summoning stone, I feel like,
Right.
on PvP servers at least. But like I think for a lot of people they went PvP because they heard that's where like they should have went and it turned to be like too much for people, right? And I think going into like this classic fresh, a lot of people should probably a lot more people should play on PvE servers, I think, because like it's so much more cutthroat nowadays. And I think having a summoning stone does get around that. But for the most hardcore people, they would just have like an alt warlock to summon anyways. So
Mm.
I mean,
But see, I don't think this is about Summoning Stones because of griefing. I think this is about Summoning Stones because it takes 20 minutes to get from Darnassus to Theramore, right? Like, I think that Summoning Stones are what this is addressing. I don't think it is griefing. I think griefing, now, Ale, I love you.
uh-oh.
Whoa.
You went through phase 2, and you went through phase 2 on the
Hey, you
opposite
stupid
side.
horde. You don't understand anything.
And what I want to say is I signed up on a PvP server because I do like to PvP. I just like to PvP in a fair manner, right? And when I have Horde that feel like their entire mission is just to grief me going into Dire Maul, cool. That's fine. I did it. I did the corpse walk. I didn't quit. I stayed with it. I just accepted that that was my life for that moment in time, right? And it went away, right? I didn't have to do that forever. But I think that you have to understand that, like, a lot of people sign up on PvP servers because they enjoy that aspect of it. But when the population becomes 70-30, that aspect becomes very less enticing because there's no chance you're just gonna die.
Well,
So is it or is it not a PvP change in your mind?
It's not a PvP change for
Okay,
me.
okay.
Summoning Stones.
I guess that is my.
So,
But
I was
no, I
just
mean,
arguing with
I
Ale on his.
agree with both. Though. I
whole-
think there was this like notion that PvP is the real classic WoW server, and I think there were a lot of unsuspecting people who ended up on PvP servers not realizing how it's not just like, oh, it's like you waste 10% of your leveling time. Like you can lose a lot of time on a PvP server.
But you can also
compared to
steal
PvE.
packs. that you
You
can't
can,
do
yeah,
on PvP
you can
servers,
steal
right?
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can steal
like
other
But
people's time.
nothing's more frustrating than when an alliance is getting an herb that
But
I
yeah,
want. I'm like, I can't even kill you, right? Like, I can kill a horde. Well,
so
maybe.
but you like summoning stones.
Yes, I
so
like many sounds.
I'm going to bring it to something that none of you hit on, and this is where I think it's the problem. So in Classic WoW, we had these intricate networks of Warlock summoners. Well,
Uh-huh.
now we're going to have an intricate network of a ton of people with level 1 alts that are parked at different summoning stones across
You can't
Azeroth.
summon someone the wrong level though, right?
Can't, okay,
You can't summon someone
is that a
too
thing?
high of a level. I can't be summoned at 70 to die to dead mines.
Right? Don't
Are
you
you
remember
sure?
when we couldn't
It's a
summon?
Yeah,
range, right? It's
that
the
well that
you have to, I think it's a
that
correct range.
Yeah.
that was a thing early on in TBC, but that's been since changed. Like I've been able to use everything. And in TBC, the summoning stones
Really?
really don't matter because you have flying mounts that go 280%
Yeah.
speed. So it's
Have you
not
been
that big of a
summoned to
jump.
an No. Have you been summoned to like dead mines or something before?
I don't think those stones actually even work in TBC now. But if they do work,
They definitely were.
if okay, like but either way, if they do work, you're gonna have intricate summoning across the entirety of the
Well, my
map.
whole point is assuming there's a level range, which there should be. Every summoning stone should only be able to summon the level range appropriate to that dungeon. If we're
Right.
talking
If
about
that's
a
the
level
thing, that'd
60
be cool.
being able to be summoned to these dungeons, then of course I disagree with it. I am
Yes.
strictly talking about people dungeon level appropriate being allowed to be summoned to do a dungeon. If people are
Right,
able
like
to do this
20
to
to
like
25. And even
yeah.
if you're above it, like I don't think you should be able to use the summoning
Right,
stone,
yeah, you
right?
should
Like
not
if
be
you're
able to be
60, you shouldn't be able to be summoned by a 25 dungeon.
right. If that's not the case, then yes, I'm
Yeah,
more
if you
like
can
this is
set
too
up people
weirdo.
everywhere, then you can just get anywhere you want to in
Yeah,
in a
that would
second.
be bad. Yeah, but as long as it's dungeon level appropriate, though, I don't see a problem with it. As long as it, like, I know we have a lot of like, it's kind of funny to laugh at retail and their like engagement metrics, but I think engagement metrics are important when you're talking about like how many people are doing these obscure dungeons. I think very few. And I think summoning stones would improve that, making it an overall quality change to the game. If you can abuse it in some way, then get rid of it. But as far as just getting people, and I don't mean like even people who don't want to raid, getting Jimmy who's never played WoW before to go see Razorfen crawl when they never would be able to. I support that because I like people experiencing the game that I like. So
All
that's
right.
why I'm cool with summoning.
All right, well, we've talked the shit out of this. Let's just go down the wire. Ryan, are you gonna play this server?
Am I gonna play this server? I might do the twink thing that we talked about. That could be cool. Server sizes. I know that they had talked about more nodes and stuff. Server sizes are kind of a bummer for me. I found that the servers were way too populated to have like that enjoyable of a vanilla experience. If they were slightly smaller, maybe I'd do more than twinking. But like,
It
I
definitely
don't know.
hurt. It definitely hurt PvP servers that had a majority faction. Like, honestly,
Yeah,
if
I
they
mean,
could fix the faction unbalance, it would make PvP servers great across the board. But Mel, are you gonna play these servers?
No. It's too soon. I'm sorry. It's too
well,
soon.
we don't
Like,
have a we don't have a date. We have a beta on
listen,
October 5th.
2 years is too soon.
That
I'm
could
just
be okay. So yeah,
gonna
if
say.
that's how you feel, then yeah.
Even if it's within the next 2 years, it's too soon. And
Yeah,
that's how I
true.
feel. And I think I love it. I can love the changes that they're making and think that like, yes, that would be so great. But I'm
2
not gonna
years
do
ago.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that would have been so great when I was
I would
coming
have
back to
loved
play it.
these at the start of Classic WoW. But
You
Ale.
didn't know you wanted them though.
Mm,
I
you
think
think
I
you
did.
do,
I think I
but
did
you
know.
I
don't.
think so. Yeah.
Because when I got in, I was like, what do you mean I have to log out with these buffs? Are you kidding me? Ale, I remember the first time that they were getting dire mall buffs, and they were the week before we had set up the buffs right before raid, right? And then they were doing the buffs like 8 or 9 hours before raid. I was like, hey, I talked to the guild leader Harskar. I was like, dude, it's too early. Like we don't have raid for another 8 hours. He's like, yeah, well, they're just gonna log out and save them. And I was like, log out? Then I can't do BGs or farm gold or what? What
Do
the fuck
anything.
are you talking about? Log out. Like I was like, I want to spend all my time in this. And I was like, eventually I was like, oh, I guess I have to make a fucking alt. This sucks. Like that literally was my introduction to world buffs in Classic WoW. And I played at the highest levels in vanilla. Like so it definitely upset me when I got in.
I mean, I will say,
But hey, Mel,
hey, it's still my turn.
no, it's
You
not.
haven't
It's
moved on yet.
I moved on to Ayle. I asked Ayle if he was
Oh.
going to play.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I feel like it's very soon. If it's like 6 months to a year, maybe. If it's, I don't know. Cargos is trying to make a hardcore group to do this, and he's asking me to play. I might play it just to level,
Mm.
but yeah, as it stands right now, I kind of have no interest in playing. But so I'm gonna say maybe, depending on how soon. I don't know. It seems like a lot right now. I'm kind of with Mel that it's like it's a little bit too soon for me to go back and play.
It feels like that's everybody, at least all the content creators' thoughts besides Cargos. And like the people that Cargos is roping in, like even Stay Safe was like, hey, I'm not going to do this, but I'll sponsor you.
But I think here's the thing is that the content creators that went to TBC and are enjoying TBC are less likely to do this, right? I think there's some people that did go to TBC and it wasn't their jam, right? It is different. But I also feel like the changes they're making make it much more similar to TBC, which is why I'm enticed to like
But it's just
even
we're busy
consider
doing
it,
TBC.
even though I'm not.
Yeah,
They need this.
we're busy.
We don't know how long this beta is going to be, first of all. If it's going to be like the other betas, it could be 3 months, right? This needs to come out a month after Black Temple. That's all I'm going to
Yeah,
say.
if they
Because you're
come
gonna have
out in
2 phases.
TBC Phase 5 where I could just snooze it, maybe.
Exactly. Like but before
Yeah.
phase 5. It's like right when a lot of guilds have done their progression on Black Temple and Highjaw, they're gonna get bored, and then there's gonna be a whole other phase of Zulaman where they're also gonna be bored. So
yeah,
like
Zulaman is basically what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So like if they time it for that, that's perfect. This timing going into beta this week makes me feel like it's gonna come out when we're bored of SSC and TK, but then everyone's going to jump ship to this, or they're going to start playing this, and then they're going to launch like the timing might end up
Right.
being really messy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think they want us to play. If they're releasing it this soon, they don't want people playing TBC to be playing this. I feel like that's just got to be it, right? Like that's just it. They can't want
not
us
their
to be
target
playing
audience,
2
right?
MMOs.
Which
yeah.
is what goes back
Their
to what
target
I said
audience
at the
has
very
to
start.
be-
Like the private server people want the world buffs. This isn't the change to make for this first iteration of your season. I feel like
I
this
don't
is
know
a
that I
change
agree with
for
that. I think
season 2 or 3.
okay, I don't know that I agree with that. I think that there is a very large population that did not like the world buffs, that once the world buffs gone. And my whole thing is that again, we're not their target audience. People already subscribed are not their target audience. Like
Yeah.
they want new target audience. Us going in the middle of a like lull that we're gonna come back in anyways and still
It's
pay
fun
our
for us, but they
subscription
don't care.
monthly. It's fun for us. That doesn't help them. And I don't know, like maybe they're just trying to win the public back by doing this, but it just seems very strange to have this much emphasis on Classic Fresh servers. And I know it's a different team, but to have this much emphasis on Classic Fresh servers when you don't have your Classic TBC servers running well,
Yeah,
feel like
I mean, we're starting to
that's
repeat ourselves now. Like,
sure.
basically, there's where we're at, guys. We'd be interested to hear like what you guys think about this.
Please, season 2. PvP season. Give us classic arena, vanilla arena. Give us honor points
Oh,
instead of a
yeah.
horrible honor system. Give me
That'd be
my
cool.
PvP vanilla. Anyway, that's all.
Let us work up entirely in PvP.
Yeah, like you could
Ow.
play the game exclusive. Oh wait. Oh, you mean leveling?
Yeah,
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, but they won't do that. I think you can do that in retail, but
you
not
can.
really.
Yeah, they changed it at some
Even
point.
still, I think it's bad. Yeah, when it was.
Mhm.
All right, well, do we have an add-on of the week?
I mean, we can. No,
Wait,
I
does
mean, I don't
Ale
really
have
want to.
anything?
I haven't been stoked about our loot add-on, so I don't really want to give it a shout out yet.
Really? I thought it's
okay.
been pretty good for like early on.
You can't pass.
Yeah, I know,
like
that's true.
there are so many basic features missing still. We'll give it a little time.
Okay.
Okay, Ale, do you have any add-ons that you're like, you need to have this one?
I mean, most of my add-ons have been placed by weak auras at this point.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
Everybody said
crazy
that, I
how many
feel like.
add-ons are replaced
When
by
Okay,
that.
is there a weak aura that you think is
I mean, I have a really
So-
good tanking weak aura that basically has all boss cooldowns, which is really great.
Oh, I'm interested in that.
And it's a really good tank add-on because it's the way it displays it actually like counts them down for you, so you can see basically when the ability's coming, and it has a cutoff point, and if it passes that cutoff point, the boss actually won't use this ability. So it's really handy to know because there's kind of like a priority system where like bosses can choose to use an ability, but if it happens after a certain point, they don't. So for example, like on Lurker, he'll either like whirl or do his other ability, and this add-on helps you determine which one it does.
I was gonna say, so is it an add-on or a weak aura?
It's a weak aura.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say that it's my worst problem with DBM, and Lurker is one of them. Where I'll just like DBM will just have a timer for spout and for whirl, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, which one are you gonna do? like, and then like whirl doesn't come out, and you're like, whatever, this is so dumb. So yeah, that's actually really good.
I think it actually works with DBM somehow.
Yeah, it
Because-
probably like augments the information. Be like, okay, it's after this time. They're
Yeah.
not gonna whirl. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's super handy.
All right. Well, if you can give me that link to the Wago, I'll put it in the show notes for everybody.
Sure.
Wago? Is that like the lingo?
It's the site that does weak auras. Wago.
Oh, okay. I was like, weak aura Wago? Is that like what we're calling it? Okay.
Probably stands for weak aura something something. I don't know.
Well,
what the
it's
GAO
dot
stands
.io,
for.
right, or something.
Yeah,
Isn't that
it's wago.io. But yeah,
Wago,
we'll try and have that in the notes. All right, guys, we're getting out of here on another long one. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. You can send us emails to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to join our Discord server with all the mash.gg hosts from every podcast, that's mash.gg/discord. Ratings and reviews, you guys keep killing it every week. We appreciate everyone. The iTunes ones help us a lot on Google. The ones on warcraftradio.com/directory helps Warcraft Radio, and they're good people over there. So please continue to give us them there if you can't do it someplace else. And just your DMs and messages in game make us feel really good, especially in BGs when you guys are like, hey dude, love the podcast. Love it, man. Thank you so much. So that being said, where can we find you, Ryan?
Hello, you can find me on Twitter at Cognitive Pit, on YouTube at youtube.com/Cognitive Pit, or on Diablo. I actually don't know how you find someone on Diablo. But there I will be.
You would have to give out your BattleNet, and I would tell you just
Nope.
don't do that because you won't have enough friend spaces.
Nope. You can send me some mail in WoW. And yep,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to play some Diablo.
Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch, or you can find me in game on Mel Arena or Arena.
Awesome. And Ayle, where can we find you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still occasionally streaming on Twitch TV at AL Gaming. Not very often though. I've been playing mainly Diablo and New World lately, as well as like raiding. Either that, you can find me in the arena playing with you, Bob, in twos, or with
Sweet.
Def Camp from
Woo.
Elderon on our fives team. So
Hey, you're on R5's team too, all right?
well,
Yeah,
that's for
come on,
sure.
Ayle.
Our whatever
I
it
haven't
is,
been
5
lately.
team.
We should do some.
No one's been really.
Yeah, we
right?
should do some fives like right after this.
I signed up for Sunday for fives.
Okay, cool.
I didn't sign up at all, but
All right, you can
can
find.
they find you on the Ayle Gaming show?
Yeah, the
Gaming
show
Oh, yeah.
on G4 TV.
I love the G4 TV. But you can find me on Twitter at blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can sometimes find me on twitch.tv/blazingbob. Let's get out of here, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Classic Fresh. Woo!
Classic Fresh. Didn't think they'd do it this soon. I gotta admit, they're really they're on it. What can I say? It's probably the top level stuff again. Isn't exactly being like, I saw a Reddit thread that said Classic Fresh.
Let's fix TBC, guys. Let's just do that, and I'll be happy with whatever you're doing on the side. But let's fix TBC before you keep taking out more emotes from the game and changing women to fruit.
Did you get mad at me for going on the skin trend earlier? Like
Mel was
And
like,
we're out.
"Oh, they're different teams," but to me, it's like, well, stop.
I
Like,
know. I was trying to
fix
be
it.
like, I was trying to like understand.
Yeah, like
Just
you finally have a team, and now it's time to split them up.
yeah.
All right, guys. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
my
Thank you,
dog.
chat. We're out of here.
You need to go to the bathroom, baby girl?